Welcome to Blunston Arena, or welcome back if you have enjoyed our streams earlier on today. We now arrive at the big one, the Bupa TSL Grand Final. North Launceston up against Lauderdale for the third time in as many years. The last two have gone the way of the Northern Bombers. Lauderdale with perhaps their biggest opportunity ever, up against the North Launceston team under some duress with Alex Lee injured. And, well, boys, in the south of the state as well, it shapes up nicely for another cracker. We've had two already today. This one, well, it could well be the best, as I welcome Chris Rowbottom and Trent Bulmer.
Yep, absolutely. Looking forward to going 3 from 3 in terms of cracking grand finals for 2019. The D-League was very, very close. Trent Bulmer's man who's standing beside me, just unable to quite get the job done. North Launceston, very, very good reward for a strong year. The women's was just something absolutely unbelievable. Clarence defeating Launceston after the Blues went 15 straight and were unbackable favourites going into the grand final. And we see Lauderdale take on North Launceston. Deja vu, third year running. North Launceston, as you mentioned, have had the better of Lauderdale in the previous two encounters. Firstly by 87 points in 2017 and 30 points last year. You mentioned Lauderdale might be thinking they're a sniff today, their best opportunity with a couple of injury concerns to North Launceston as we see them make their way out onto the ground. I'm just keen for a really, really good close game of footy.
We could have a Collingwood banner on our hands here, I reckon.
It is battling in the wind, and just on that, the conditions are going to play a part because the wind has picked up and we're probably going to get a bit more rain a little later in the afternoon. Trent Baumler.
Yeah, thanks for having me again, guys. Great, it was great fun last time with you. Great to be a part of Grand Final Day. As much as I love your guys' company, probably a different team I'd rather be involved with on the big day. But really looking forward to a game. The two best teams of the year have got here on the last day, and yeah, should be a cracking game.
Well, the man in charge of the spinning the tunes as we hear the Bombers song blast out over the speakers will have a pretty easy job today, because whoever wins, it's the same button. Bombers v Bombers, North v South.
Wow. Sorry to interrupt. Early observation. Look what Sharon Eggers running for the big dance.
Well, he's gone the skid mark down the middle of the head.
Straight down the hay diddle
for
diddle.
A grand final. That is some interesting.
It's bold is what it is.
That is interesting headgear for sure going into the big dance. But North Launceston, well, the dominant team of the past 6 years, going for 5 flags in 6 seasons, which, well, I'm not sure it's been matched at state league level across Tasmania ever. If it has, you'd have to go back to maybe some of those Clarence teams or maybe Sandy Bay or Glenorchy back in the 70s and 80s. But certainly in recent times, North Launceston have been the dominant team in Tasmanian football. And just, I don't quite think they get the plaudits they deserve for the run that they've put together over the best part of a decade now in terms of dominance of the competition. They've been an absolutely exceptional football club.
I think you're 100% right there, and it all goes back to what started with Zane Littlejohn many moons ago, and just a model of consistency. And, you know, Zane moves on and the culture's built, the system's built, and the next guy comes in and they do their job. Tom Couch hands it to Taylor Whitford, and, you know, they don't skip a beat. You know, consistent, classy, and tough as well, and that's what wins your flags. And yeah, so they're always tough to topple any week, especially this time of year. Though.
Have a listen to some of these names, Trent. And these are the names that played in last year's grand final team that won't be taking part this year because they've moved on to other clubs or gone into state or whatever they might be doing. But Walsh, Bennett, Burt, Pearce, Cousins, Couch, Sharman, Tang and Thomas. That's a pretty handy crew.
Yeah, I think we could fit all of those in down at the Tigers. So, you know, yeah, that's and they've covered it really well. You know, Jordan Tepper's come in and had a really solid back half of the end of the year. Sorry for him. Liam Davies from Ulverston, even though Van Buren's not playing today, he's been great for him. And you saw Ben Elmer at the start of the year play some good senior footy and play some good footy in the DL Grand Final today. So they just replace them. They get guys in who buy into what they're doing. You know, it's a really strong culture. They all know their roles. They play them well. And yeah, the train keeps rolling.
The other side of the ledger, of course, is the Southern Bombers. They're into their third consecutive grand final. They have been yet to taste the ultimate success in the TSL, but they get another bite of the cherry today as they make their way onto the field. Equally impressive club, community club. They play on a ground that they call the Tip, volunteer-based, tight-knit group. big bunch of them have been together all the way through from underage footy, and they play in their third grand final. As we mentioned earlier, they'd be thinking they're a bit of a sniff today, given the game is being played in the south.
Third grand final in a row, but their best chance for mine to take the premiership. First of all, it's in the south of the state. They've played some bloody good footy here at Blunston Arena. North Launceston, yes, they've named Alex Lee, but he's not going to be 100%. Van Buren out of the setup. He was a Team of the Year defender. They're as ripe for the picking as they'll ever be. Having said that, that doesn't mean it's going to be easy. North Launceston you'd still favour, because when it comes to finals, they just find a way more often than not.
Yeah, I think for Lauderdale, it's probably that adage. Hopefully for them that suffering is the pathway to success. Hopefully they've learnt those lessons from the last two. I think probably from their own admission, the first grand final they probably got it wrong the way they went about it. Last year, they were a bit more competitive, and as you mentioned, Gilly. This is their best chance in the south of the state. They would have had a really settled week, not having to worry about travel. A little bit of, unsettlement with Benny McGuinness with the match review panel at the start of the week, but, that's nothing unfamiliar to them. And, like you said, they're a tight group, and those are the things, that tightness, the mateship in these big games. They're the things that can really get you over the line, and we've seen it with Lauderdale over the last couple of years. So, this is their moment.
They've had some turnover as well since last year's grand final. Mosquito, Stanley, Havea, Boscott, Wiggins and Laumsus out of the team that contested last year's grand final. So they've replaced their team very well also. So kudos to Lauderdale and the recruiting team down there for putting together another grand final side. But we mentioned North Launceston, and they've had some good battles throughout the season. Lauderdale they won the first two games of the season against North Launceston by 16 points at Lauderdale, and then by 37 points at York Park in round 13. And we thought, hang on a second, maybe the baton's being handed over. Round 19 though, North Launceston comes out and beats them by 45 at Lauderdale, and then in the semi-final, North Launceston win by 38 at Windsor Park. So the recent history suggests North Launceston. The overall history is a little bit more even. One stat I want to run past you guys though, North Launceston this year have conceded only 860 points. That's 47.7 points a week. That's good going in defence.
Yeah, it's outrageous really. But they are missing one of the key figures that has set that up in Van Buren. So, but yeah, the stat I was looking at is Lauderdale have kicked 74 points twice against North Launceston this year and won both games. So that's the magic number today for Lauderdale. If they kick 74, they're going to win the game.
And I think that stingy defence from North Launceston comes back to their system as well. Their halfbacks, they're so disciplined in when they drop off or when they lock on their opponent. They play that sort of 1.5 man rule. They're always there to help each other. And, if Jay Foon can chop off the ball and get the ball in his hands, and they're able to get their game style going coming back through the corridor, that's where they're tough to beat.
There it is, the Holy Grail, as we hear it over the loudspeaker. There's Pete Curtis from the ABC getting in nice and tight to get his shot.
We've got Anthony Osborne down on the boundary as well as the call team today, and conditions are significant, so you're going to play a big part, Anthony. What have you got for us?
Yeah, down here at the moment, guys, you can probably hear that coming through the microphone. It is very windy, still coming from west to east, looks to be favouring the river end of the ground. Just a quick observation though, watching the Lauderdale players come out, Sam Burge grinning ear to ear, and just looking at the Lauderdale assistant coaching staff, I've never seen them look more relaxed. So they've been here before, they know what the challenge is, and they look ready for it.
Thanks, Anthony. I'm not sure whether that was you or a robot, the way the sound came out. It was a good job nonetheless. Let's have a look at the teams. Let's get them up, the lineups. They are unchanged. No late changes to the two teams to take part. As our producer, Ash, does the lovely work he's done all season, brings them up. There's quality across the board, isn't there, gents?
There certainly is, and we talk about the premiership, the three that have been part of all four flags and are going for number 5 today. Brad Cox-Goodyear for North Launceston, Taylor Whitford and Jack Avent, just 3 players, mainstays of the competition, teams of the year, and Bulldog medals and goal kicking and just everything that you could think of. These players have achieved it. They're going to be 3 keys, of course. Brad Cox-Goodyear winning the last 2 Bulldog medals against Lauderdale. I'm fascinated to see how they go about stopping him today. But it starts in defence, doesn't it? Van Buren's out, as you mentioned, but Avent, Rick DeSolda, Young, Foon, solid as a rock. Cox Goodger in the middle of the ground. Davies and Mansell on the wings, beautiful. Half-forward line, Bannister, Callow, Egger, more than handy. McCulloch up forward, and then you've got a handy type by the name of Ponting and a reasonable player by the name of Whitford receiving the surface from Lee. Tepper as well, as you mentioned, Baums came in and done a job in the absence of Mark Walsh this year. So if you can find a hole in that North Launceston team, I'd like to see it.
Yeah, a little bit of flexibility there as well. You know, Tom Donnelly's that swing man who goes forward and back. So, you know, if one of the Lauderdale forwards like a Ben McGuinness or an Alex Hill rolls forward, I've got that flexibility to chuck him down there if he's getting on top of someone and then releasing someone else. Davies and Mansell on the outside as well. I think that matchup or that battle on the outside with Davies, Mansell against Sutton and Heavey, a few real good ball users, real good pace on the outside in both of those as well will be pivotal today.
And even the inverted commas, the lesser types, Bennett and Simpson and Davies, as I mentioned, even Rushton and Wadley are still very, very handy players. As we pause now for the national anthem, which is about to get underway.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you please be upstanding for the national anthem? And we introduce to you Cody Gunton.
Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are young and free, with golden soil and wealth for toil. Our home is good by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty, rich and rare. In history's page, let every stage advance, Australia fair. In joyful strains, then let us sing. Advance, Australia fair.
Yeah, it's spine-tingling, isn't it? The national anthem on a big grand final day, and we touched on the North Launceston team. We should probably cast our eye over the Lauderdale side, who are contending, of course, today.
We'll just wait for Ash to bring up the lineups for Lauderdale. He's just busy at work, but I'm just going to put it out there early, my tip. I'm tipping Lauderdale in an absolute nail-biter, 2 points. And I'll tell you one of the reasons as we look at the lineup. Phil Bell-Chambers has shaved his bonds. And I've been calling for this for weeks.
He's like the reverse Samson.
Well, I think it's actually he's destroyed one of the Horcruxes that North Launceston have.
A Harry Potter reference isn't what I was expecting on the
he's destroyed one of the Horcruxes
today.
Potentially another one of those is in Alex Lee's knee and the other in Van Buren's elbow. So Lauderdale to get the job done. Horcrux destroyed. No, let's go through the lineup in all seriousness. And it's a very balanced team. And I think when you look at the Lauderdale lineup, probably bats deeper than North Launceston's. But they're going to need some of their, as it were, B graders to rise up and be A graders on the big occasion if they're going to beat North Lonnie.
Yeah, absolutely. And I said this on the radio this morning. I think Lauderdale's absolute best is better than North Launceston's absolute best. But I think we see North Launceston's best more often. So it'll be a matter of whether or not Lauderdale can get to that gear that they're sometimes able to produce, but often not able to, and whether or not they can hold North Launceston to a lower standard. But as you said, a really settled team. Eddie Trupp's come into the team this year, Team of the Year fullback. He's going to have a big job on Barton McCulloch. You've got the McGuinness boys across half back there. Anderton will have a role on the resting midfielder going forward. McManus and Sutton on the wings, you touched on, Baum. Walsh is going to be a wrecking ball today. And then forward of centre, you've got the likes of Saunders, Siggins, Burge, and Raglione, who's come on as a really good player. Bill Chambers, too, back into the midfield. We've seen him off half back in recent weeks, so I think he'll probably go back into the guts today with the shaved lid, which is fantastic to see, and then some handy types on the bench as well. Thought Boss got named as an emergency. Is that just a little bit of silly buggers, or was
I
there
think
any
that was
chance
him
of him
pushing
getting
his case in a big way. I don't think he was ever a realistic chance.
You've got some matchups for us, Baum?
Yeah, I think we'd probably see Trupp have a look at Bart McCulloch if he goes forward Oscar Shaw, I'd expect to line up on Jackson Callow, and then when the Taylor Whitford goes forward, look for Mitch Anderton to pick him up. I'd reckon that'll be those lineups or those matchups, that Lauderdale would be looking at.
Who got the tap on the shoulder during the week from Darren Winter and received the news that they'd be going to Brad Cox-Goodger because he has torn Lauderdale to pieces in the previous 2 grand finals?
I think what Lauderdale will do early is they'll back their system in. They'll go head to head in there through the midfield, because you've got to get that first hands on ball, especially early in a grand final. I think looking at that lineup, because that they like Franklin to play offense, Bellchambers to play offense. I think having coached him before and knowing him really well, and Nick Baker can go in and do that sort of role. He's that bigger bodied bull type player, but can also hurt you away from the stoppage. So I wouldn't be surprised at stages to see Bakes go head to head there with Brad Cox-Goodyear.
And we've got young Harry Reid here doing some stats for us. We'll do a marvellous job throughout the afternoon. He'll feed us some of the key numbers so we can keep an eye on particularly some of the bigger players and as well as some of the team stats. I tell you what, I've never seen the top tier so full for a TSL game. Says a fair bit about the game itself, but also the weather that people are piling to the back of the stand. It is holding off for the moment, the rain. We saw it teeming down in that TSLW game for maybe only 5 minutes though, but it came thick and fast.
Yep.
It'd be interesting to see if the conditions do play a significant part in the game.
And if it does rain and the conditions do get a little bit more lively further into the afternoon, who does it suit? I think it might suit Lauderdale a little bit, but I think I'm probably clutching at straws.
Yeah, I think there's been 2 games between these 2 sides in the wet this year. One Lauderdale won comfortably, one North Launceston won comfortably. So difficult. I think it would maybe favour Lauderdale just because of the leg speed probably is the way of North Launceston, so it slows down the game a touch and plays into their hands a little. But I don't think it will be a major factor.
Yeah, I think, the wind's probably going to play more of a part of it, especially, that might take away elements of game style where if teams want to possess the ball, use those short kicks, come back through the corridor, there's a little bit more risk on those sorts of kicks. So I think it's going to be pretty basic, especially early. There's going to be a little bit of down the line. There's going to be, a bit of physicality. And then once the game settles after 5 minutes, it's another game of footy.
So in the middle, there'll be some nervous boys out there for the big stage of the grand final.
So Whitford's gone deep forward with Mitchy Anderton picking him up.
Siggins deep forward for Lauderdale. We saw last week he changed the game when he went into the middle. Hayden Smith up first. Jeez, what's on the leg of...
Serious gear on the leg of Alex Lee.
Wow! Is that a false leg?
It's a peg leg.
That is quite a setup from Alex Lee. So it was the most talked about knee in Tasmania over the past week. Would he play? He's out there. You sense, given what's on his leg, he's under pretty significant duress. He's going to battle on through, but even though he's out there, it could be somewhere where Lauderdale can get the upper hand. Hayden Smith had a terrific year, and Siggins huge last week. Here we are, first bounce of the 2019 Bupa TSL Grand Final. Up it goes. Smith over the top of Lee. Soccering away was Franklin. Scattered ball inside 50. Mansell feeds it out. Event now arches the back. Kicks onto the wing. Tepper has it swatted away from him. Bellchambers now. Look at that shaved dome. Looking the goods. Finds Karanua. So Karanua, an electric player, drives long in the direction of Gilby. Fisted away from Mansell. Fed out by Davies. Here's Cox-Goodyear. He's made this day his own over the last couple of years. Sutton firing it out. Finding Burge. Ball blocked from Mansell. 2 players collide. Eyes only for the footy. Stoppage.
Straight away you see that surge mentality from Lauderdale, hacking it off the ground to get that first inside 50. But then you also see Ryan Mansell dropping off his opponent and playing a little bit spare and being able to impact a couple of contests.
So Mansell won it straight down off the tap, tumbling ball into the middle of the ground. Sharon Egger with the new haircut, gets it off to Ponting. He goes by hand now. Here's Bannister for North Launceston. Tried to get his kick away. He was dragged off it as Edmonds comes away with it. Wonderful smother by Franklin. Under the pump early here, North Launceston. Cox-Goodyear feeds out a handball, unable to get clear runway or traffic, and that's a wonderful tackle as well. Umpire says play on. Egger tries to get underneath it, but McManus chops it off.
McManus now switches across to Trupp. Affectionately known as the skeleton with hair. He goes back to Shaw. Shaw over the top, and they negotiate that situation quite nicely. A little one over from McGuinness. Finds Sutton as the wing to himself out for Heavey. So Heavey now one of the veterans in this Lauderdale lineup. Kicks in the direction of Saunders. Was great last week. Off from Siggins. Slick hands. Finds Saunders. Arches the back. He's caught. And he's gone. So it'll be a young ball. He drives long and high. There's a whistle. It's going to be reversed, I sense.
There's a Lauderdale player down.
I think it was Bannister just cleaned up Walsh. They're exchanging pleasantries. A lot of people in the record I saw tipping Bryce Walsh. We didn't get your tips, fellas, but I'm going with Lauderdale in a tight one, as I said. Haynes Smith to win as Walsh goes along. Tepper underneath it. He marks.
So Tepper had a good season, just slotted straight into this North Launceston midfield, which isn't easy to do as he goes up the line. The kick wasn't his finest. Lauderdale with the numbers. Anderson will get after it. He tracks it. He's got company, though. Good tackle laid by Callow. We'll have it all wrapped up on the outer side.
Been able to see both teams chop off a little bit here. A few intercept marks early. Lauderdale with some really composed ball use coming out of the back half, but the pressure's really high.
So Lee won it down to Ponting, who fed it out only as far as Bell Chambers, who got it off to Walsh. Kick towards half forward. Good mark going back. Event.
So
No.
Jack Event, sorry, ball.
No, just another one of those half-backs where they generate so much of their drive from it, being able to drop off and take intercept marks.
Here they come, North Lonnie. That kick, whoa, it had to be good. It was. Simpson now. From half back, just pokes down the line. Just inside, was it? Event takes the grab. So Jack Event, one of only 3 players playing for their potential 5th premiership as he powers it towards Whitford, sent away from Anderton. So ball to come in, you can hear the wind howling through the microphones.
So North Lonnie have already been able to manufacture Jay Foon spare behind the ball here. I don't think Lauderdale would like the look of that in the coach's box. So look for their forwards to hold a bit more shape and structure ahead of the ball to not allow him to be free there.
G. Cox Goodyear was brilliant out of the stoppage, flying shot on goal. Goes through for a minor score, but just a little taster of what he might be capable of this afternoon as he weaved his way around and just had a shot for the first goal. So McGuinness brings it in for Lauderdale, who kick beyond 50 on the outer side. It was roved off hands by Baker, who got away from an opponent. Kicks Lauderdale long up the wing now to a contest. Gilby got in front, rode the tackle. Broke free, will kick the Bombers to half forward. Foot race on out there. Saunders and Mansell do battle. Richter Salters there. Saunders laid a good tackle. Umpire says, I'll have it, please.
Smart footy from Gilby, wasn't it?
So Gilby up the ground. We have a stoppage inside the Lauderdale forward 50. It was just roved by Smith, who got off the handball. He had nowhere to go, Heavey, as Ponting comes down and lays the tackle. So Josh Ponting, one of the finest players in the competition. He'll have a big say in the outcome today, you feel, as he kicks his Northern Bombers beyond defensive 50. Good mark coming out was Callow. He'll progress things another 50 metres up the line. That's a big mark early. Signal of intent from McCulloch, who's got a one-on-one inside 50. Chance now for the Bombers. What can they produce? McGuinness under the pump. Chance now for Egger as he goes through. He was held up without it. The Lauderdale defence did well to hold things up.
North Launceston able to push their numbers up the ground there and create some space out the back and quickly slingshot there, which gets them with a stoppage right in front of goal.
So up it goes, deep forward for North Launceston. Trupp out of there. Jumping onto it, Shaw. Ben McGuinness down back. What do you make of that, Bomb?
Yeah, Ben can play both ends, so you know, he's got that X factor where he can swing forward at times if he needs to be. So obviously that's you know, Lauderdale think they need that extra tall player down there, so they've rolled with Ben down there to start.
So Bannister had his ball blocked. Mitch Anderton slipped as he went to get away.
Lost his helmet in the process.
Lost his helmet.
Tell you what, you won't miss Sharon Egger today. Not only has he got the hairdo, but he's got one green boot, one red boot.
He's loud as it comes out the back of the stoppage. Trupp onto it. That was well disguised. It's actually going to be a free kick further back by the looks. No, I've misread that one. So here's our man, I think, Raglione. No, he's not going to take. Geez, he was good last week, wasn't he? That tackle again. I'd love to see more of that sort of action.
And he's played a couple of different roles. In the first final against North Launceston, he played that defensive forward role on Jay Foon. And then last week he went to his normal half-back role. Beautiful left footer, uses the ball well.
Gee, that's a good mark coming up the ground from Tyler Martin, who was a late in last week for Lauderdale and gets his chance in a grand final this afternoon. You can just see the wind playing a big part. The footy is well held up as it's roved off hands. There's nothing forward of centre for Lauderdale, though, as North Launceston get the chance to rebound now. Davies has it at right half back. That's a spearing ball to Callow. He couldn't quite complete the mark. He went and butted up. He was tackled by Saunders. Anderton came out with the footy. He was tackled too in the middle of the ground. Hot start. Bomber on bomber here at Bellerive. North Launceston with a slender lead early. 2 points to zip.
Field position is going to be pretty important as well. You saw that kick from Tyler Martin just hold up in the breeze. So, you know, if that's doing that, it's going to be tough for Lauderdale to exit their defensive 50. So, territory getting it forward in their area and then being able to set up is going to be pretty important.
Whitford took it off the stoppage, but had Siggins for company. We'll have another ball up. Umpire Nathan Geeson in his first TSL Grand Final this afternoon. Congratulations to him as Bill Chambers goes in after it. Might have got one high. Umpire said he did.
Oh, it's been reversed.
And this is the fear for Lauderdale.
Oh, I think he was sucked into that one.
Hugely.
That was some mighty fine acting from Taylor Whitford.
But that's what happens, isn't
We
it?
see, oh, look at that.
They know this. They know this all too well, North Launceston, as Whitford sends North Launceston inside 50. Where's Cox Goodger? He tries to paddle it to his advantage. He manages to get hold of the footy. He's wrapped up in a big tackle. He'd be taken high.
Yeah, it looked it. Must be said, just straight high as we see on the replay screen.
So Cox Goodger, the amount of planning and analysing that would have gone into stopping this man this afternoon after the previous two grand finals, one in which he kicked 9 goals in and won the Baldock medal. He was the Baldock medalist in the other as well. But he has a chance to get on the board and open the account for North Launceston. First blood, all important here in the grand final. Cox Goodger makes no mistake. North Launceston have the first. They open up an 8-point lead. 9.5 minutes gone, TSL grand final.
Just have a look in that last little passage of play. It looked like Sam Siggins had come up the ground. Looks like he's going back to the forward line there. So I reckon that they'll look to probably try and get Sam up in and around the footy now after, you know, about 9 minutes gone, a little bit of heat off the game, to then really try and test out Alex Lee and maybe push hard forward on him and see how that knee's going.
So back in the middle we go. First goal to North Launceston. They've done all the scoring thus far. It's courtesy, a bit of fortune, it must be said, with the free kick being reversed on the wing. But that's what North Launceston do. They punish you, and that one had to be had again. I can't believe they let that play. Smith feeds it out, though. It goes the way of Lauderdale. Onto it in a flash is Bryce Walsh across 50. The arc of 50 sends it sailing. Oh, he was on his back, Alex Hill, but somehow made something happen. Gets it to Burge, who finishes off. So in a flash, Lauderdale cancel out North Launceston's opener. It was a bizarre contest in the square that Alex Hill just somehow forced it out. We'll see it here on the replay. Walsh with the long ball. Hill, oh no, it's coming. Somehow forces out, and Burge is pretty sharp from this sort of range and that sort of opportunity, Trent Baumler.
Burge doing his job as a small forward there, being at the feet of the contest and able to apply a little bit of pressure and then finish. You got to finish and take your opportunities on days like today.
Well, Walsh's flying shot on goal just held up in the wind, and I think it caught the contest in the square a little bit off guard, but Burge was good enough to finish off as North Launceston emerged with it in the middle of the ground through Josh Ponting. Kick inside 50 now. McGuinness getting back was magnificent.
Quality player.
So McGuinness marks on his chest. He's at right half back for Lauderdale as he sells a little bit of candy to McCulloch. He gets things moving for Lauderdale up the line. Siggins underneath it, takes it cleanly. So a couple of the big guns combining for Lauderdale as they go towards half forward. It's a 2-on-1. The 2 had to be good. The 1 was good also. It ended up with Kieran Ewer, who went for the sanctuary of the boundary line. Umpire comes in and says, throw it in, thank you. And that's exactly what they'll do. So North Launceston 1-2-8 lead Lauderdale 1 straight 6. 12 minutes gone. First term, blustery conditions at Bellerive. A good start in this TSL Grand Final. Sutton farms off the handball to Bryce Walsh. Ponting's in there. As always, Saunders tried to lay the tackle. Walsh just got into the back of his opponent. He was a little bit vigorous in the tackle on Mansell.
Something like Bryce.
Yeah, well, I don't think we'll see much of that this afternoon, will we?
No holds barred today. There's no next week.
So as we just wait for a footy to emerge to get into the hands of young Mansell. Not sure if I can
Eggers
spy.
gone and fetched one.
There you go. That's local footy for you.
So we've got Phil Bellchambers with Brad Cox-Goodyear. Brad obviously pushing hard forward as that mid now to provide a hit-up option here for Rhino Mansell's kick.
So Mansell gets things moving, kicks North Launceston forward. Whitford tried to rove it off the pack. Kieran Ewer was at the base, tried to feed up a handball. There is Whitford. Kick inside 50 was a good one. Here's Egger on the tight angle. Centering ball, no one was home. McGuinness will lead the chase, but he's got company. He'll need to get there first and be clean. He was unable to do so. Gathered now. It's in North Launceston hands. Flying shot on goal is a good one.
Simpson.
That's an absolutely ripping finish from Ben Simpson, who just threw it on the boot, had a look at the big sticks and went bang. North Launceston have 2. They're 2-2-14. Lauderdale 1 straight 6. 13 and a half gone first term.
North Lonnie able to outnumber there at that contest. So once Matty McGuinness had overrun the ball there, they had those numbers there. And, yeah, deadly finish from Ben Simpson.
Deadly is right. Just slap that on the boot. Very, very nice finish, Ben Simpson. North Launceston 2-2-14. Lauderdale 1 straight 6. Up it goes again. Alex Lee, he's done okay thus far. He wins this hit out. Bursting onto his Bellchambers. Drops it off, looking for Franklin. Opts not to handball. A grubber towards 50. Well done by North Launceston. Comes away off the boot of Whitford. A tumbler towards forward 50. McGuinness's combined. Ends in the third one. Quality football family in the State South. Drops it off to Alex Heavey. Heavey looks up. He has Martin offering on. Kicks it into the man on the mark. Fletcher Bennett the other way. Ball blocked. Here's Gilby. Whacks it on the boot. A spiral punt. Looking in the direction of Martin. It hit him. He didn't know it was coming. Kieran Ewer now just skews one out the side. What vision!
Great contest there from Tyler Martin. He's got a little bit of X factor about him. Played some good senior footy last year. Obviously hasn't been part of the senior setup at Lauderdale until last week. But it's obviously someone that North Launceston don't know, haven't really had a look at him. So, you know, that was a fantastic contest by him, crunching the pack and getting it on the ground there and create a scoring opportunity.
Kieran Ewer just saw McManus out of the corner of his eye.
It was clever.
Just screwed the kick to him. So here it is, Robbie McManus to strike back for the Lauderdale Bombers. In he marches, sends it on its way and just stabs at it out to the left.
Well, you just feel that goals against this breeze are going to be like gold, and they're the opportunities that Lauderdale need to take if they're to win this one today. So play resumes in from full back. Big fire from Davies. It went through his fingers. Walsh was there with Ponting. He got a high tackle. So on the receiving end of the free kick this time, Bryce Walsh. He'll no doubt give away a couple this afternoon, but he'll no doubt get a couple as well as he puts his head in and under the footy. He sends a high ball towards 50. Big Mark Martin! So Tyler Martin, the inclusion, takes a mark. 30 metres out slide angle.
Well, we saw him last week, Rowie. He wasn't ultra impressive, but he did a couple of little things that teased at his potential.
So this would erase the McManus miss. If he can put this one through Tyler Martin, get his Bombers back to within a point. He just lets it slew off the side of the boot, though, and two golden opportunities go begging for Lauderdale, who moved to 1-2-8. North Launceston 2-2-14, 16 and a half gone first term.
Young from full back, in for Whitford. So Whitford now over the top finds the reigning Lynch medalist in Ponting. He's had another darn good season as the wind howls on through. He finds Foon. Jay Foon goes for a joyride out to the other side of the ground. Picks out his target, and Fletcher Bennett kicking over the top. He'll be able to find Richter Salter. They've opened this up very nicely, North Launceston. Richter Salter now looking for Rushton. He punched that into his path, and it's a mark. That was quite clever in the end. Rushton off now for Richter Salter. He drives it long. Raglione across the grab. He'll rebound for Lauderdale with a little poker to Karanua, and they're away.
So Karanua on the near side. He wants his teammate in Burge, but he had two to contend with. They'll see it over the boundary line.
Covered off really well there, North Launceston forwards to get a contest on that switch kick there, and stoppage here in this field position is a win for them.
So a couple of big chances for Lauderdale have gone begging early in this first term as it comes in. Chance now for North Launceston as Tepper goes on through, feeds on a handball inside 50. Players on hands and knees. Anderton was there, as was Karanua, ripped off his kick. Walsh fed it up. He had a teammate in support in McManus, but it was Whitford coming through, tried to just work it somewhere towards the goals, but he was nowhere near it. He'll spill out of bounds on the full. It'll be a Lauderdale ball in the hands of Shaw. He goes across the ground to the arms of Trupp, so he's got to send Lauderdale out beyond defensive 50.
Jeez, that was a fair kick.
And it was a good mark too. So the Southern Bombers in possession at right half back. Kick up the line towards Martin. Chance now for Lauderdale as Franklin sends a tumbler forward, but it's chopped off immediately by Bennett.
And away they go, North Launceston now with Whitford. He's been covering the ground well. Seen him all across the ground. Foon for Davies. So Davies looking in the Callow direction. Oh, geez, he's got good hands, Jackson Callow. 17 years of age, and look at that. Kicking now for Bart McCulloch. He's got plenty of Lauderdale players rather to deal with. Sees it out.
Fantastic hit up there by Callow, and like you said, Gilly, how good are his hands?
He's going to be a terrific player. Well, he is already, really, as the ball comes in. McCulloch having a stint on ball. Down from Smith. Dakota Bannister just whacks a helicopter towards goal, and it floats through. It wasn't pretty off the boot, but it was pretty as it sailed through the sticks. North Launceston another.
That's where we talk about making the most of your opportunities there. A little scrub kick out of stoppage. Dakota's able to kick that goal where Lauderdale have those two set shots which they can't quite convert.
So North Launceston, early buffer, 3-2-20 lead, Lauderdale 1-2-8. As we mentioned though, the Southern Bombers with a couple of big chances, one through Robbie McManus, one through Tyler Martin, that both went begging. They've paid the price.
Really important for Lauderdale to bunker down now, because we've hit that 20 minutes, starting to get towards red time. Obviously, with that breeze, quarter time Aussie will probably give us a bit of a better lens onto how strong he thinks it is. If Lauderdale can play some tempo here and shut the game down for a bit, that'll go a long way to help him have a good result at quarter time.
Walsh was good through traffic. His bouncing ball on centre wing was gathered by Mansell, who kicks North Launceston forward. He makes full advantage of that wind as he gets him towards half forward. McGuinness came through with a big bump. We're going to see a whistle here. His arms are flying.
How's that gone Bannister's way?
Well, that looked a Lauderdale free kick to me, but Bannister will get North Launceston inside forward 50. Play on advantage free kick. And they kick another. The Bombers off a contentious free kick. Callow, the beneficiary. Wouldn't mind another look at that one, Gilly.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I'm with you there, Gilly. I thought that was overturned. Obviously, in my position, I can't say too much. But yeah, I think they missed one there.
They missed one. I don't know if it was a signal the wrong way, because Dakota Bannister fair flushed Ben McGuinness. And somehow it went against Ben McGuinness. We'll see this on the replay. Whack he goes. I'm not sure how that's gone. Yeah, I'm miffed on that one. I'm miffed.
And the consequence is North Launceston kick a goal out of it and extend their lead.
That's how good they are, North Launceston. They make you pay when they get the chance, and out they come again from the middle. Extracting is Ponting, kicking out onto a vacant win. It bounces over. No, they just, if they get a chance, they take it. And we saw down the other end, Lauderdale had two really good looks, and they might come back to hurt. Because the buffer is handy, and Jackson Callow, mind you, that was a neat finish as it comes on in again. Down from Smith's hands, straight to Bryce Walsh, looks to feed it out. Young spills it over, as does Raglioni, and this one's over the boundary line, so it'll be thrown on in.
Despite that goal, really important for Lauderdale to settle. They've been here before, they know. Yes, scoreboard pressure is the best pressure you can put on, but they just need to get 2-3 minutes just playing back to their brand and getting it nice and tight at the contest and getting themselves back on track here.
3 goals the margin as Lauderdale emerge with the footy from the stoppage. It's the running Raglioni who gets off a handball to Burge. He goes inside the bell chambers, needs it to sit, it does. Gets around Food with ease. He'll have a flying shot from 50. Kick inboard wasn't a bad one. The defence was fantastic from Donnelly, who gathered the footy cleanly and sent it high towards the wing. That's almost a wonderful mark taken by Ponting. In fact, it was claimed in front by Walsh. Umpire said play on. Big tackle laid by Siggins. Comes out to Ponting. High ball towards the wing. Players fly. Nobody able to take the mark. Gathered now. Kick scrubbed forward in the North Launceston direction. Out it comes to Cox Goodger. He's kicked the goal early. He's going to take a bounce through the middle of Bellerive. He goes long and strong, but nobody's home. In fact, it's all Lauderdale in defence.
I think he had a couple there lining up in the middle where if he would have lowered his eyes instead of blazing away there, he'd probably like that one back.
Probably felt the wind at his back. Trent Baumler, and decided to have a shot. The kick out of defence is a shocker. It'll end up straight into the arms of Jay Foon.
Just need to cool the jets, as you said, Lauderdale.
So Jay Foon, as I mentioned, with the wind behind him, will fancy himself for the journey here and a chance to make it an even 4-goal buffer for North Launceston early in this game. He'll kick from right on 50. The distance is not a worry, but he's just missing.
Looks like plenty of verbal between the teams as players are rotating on and off as well. So plenty of spice, plenty of heat in the contest.
What have you got for us, Anthony?
Yeah, the Lauderdale fans certainly making their feelings towards Dakota Bannister felt as he makes his way back onto the ground. I think that free kick has really livened the crowd up down here.
Jay Foon missed that shot, but just takes a good grab and will power them inside forward 50 again. North Launceston looking in the Edmonds direction. Over his head, wrapping up in a strong tackle is Trupp. They need quarter time badly, you sense, Lauderdale. That free kick going against them really hurt. 4-3-27, 1-2-8 the score as it's punched out of the ruck contest and forced over for a boundary throwing. So the ball to be thrown in. Deep forward 50 for the Northern Bombers. They've had all the running early. Down from Callow. Trupp through hands, finds Baker. Baker screws a kick, looking for Hill. Got hands to it. Lee now feeds out for Donnelly. Lost his footing, but was able to keep his composure and find Mansell. Mansell looks for Wadley through his fingers. Siggins waits for him to claim the footy and then wraps him up in a strong tackle. Good tackle, but was never ball despite what the Lauderdale faithful would like. They've found good voice early in this one. Down from Siggins, Ponting almost. Just forced forward by Event. Gathered now by McManus. Spilt it as he looked to bound away. Just spills the footy out. Going down and low at the footy was Whitford. And it's a cruel rule, but it's there for a reason, and it goes the way of Bryce Walsh on this occasion, who gets the free kick and finds Anderton.
Anderton, right half back for Lauderdale. He goes underground to find Trupp, who marks.
Not a heap on here.
So North Launceston have set up well in front of the footy as Trupp just retreats back to Anderton. So Anderton for Lauderdale just eventually says, I'll go as high and long as I can up the line, looking for one of those big marking targets. They'll end up with it here, Lauderdale. Siggins tried to get away. He missed his boot with the ball, but he gained a pretty valuable 10 or 15 metres as he paddled it forward for his team.
And that's all it has to be. You know, a couple paddles before all of a sudden, you know, they're more on their centre half forward line than back under the pump.
19 points the margin here, North Launceston. So something's happened off the ball. The crowd have erupted. And
It's a Trupp free kick.
I sense by the noise it's a Lauderdale free kick. It's going to end up in the hands of Siggins. He gets things moving immediately. High ball inside 50 for Lauderdale. Tyler Martin was at the base of the pack. He couldn't get away cleanly. Foon ended up with the footy. He's got Whitford wide. He just knocks it on to advantage. He had a player there, but he was unable to hit him. As the quarter time siren sounds, eventful first term in the TSL Grand Final. North Launceston with the early 19-point buffer, 4-3-27 to Lauderdale 1-8. A bit of everything in that term, boys.
Fascinating first quarter, one that belongs to North Launceston, albeit they do have a reasonable breeze at that back in that term, and we'll get a steer on it, I guess, from Anthony Osborne at quarter time, but also as the second term plays out to just see how significant it was. But they played it pretty well. North Launceston played as expected, really, but they have had a bit of luck go their way as well. That big decision on the wing that looked for all money to be what should have been a free kick against Dakota Bannister somehow went to him, and then it rolled on and there was another free kick and advantage was paid and it ended in a certain goal. So can't help but feel for Lauderdale a little bit with that one, but they have had their chances at the other end and have missed a couple of real gettable options, haven't they, Trent?
Yeah, they'd be ruining those. You know, North Launceston have been able to get their game style the way they want it. You know, they've moved the ball the way they've wanted to. They've set up behind the footy the way they've wanted to. So, you know, look, a real good chance here now for Lauderdale to reassess. 4 goals to 1 is not what they'd like to look at, but when you look back to the Development League game as well, our boys were 4 goals to 1 down at quarter time after that start. Obviously, the breeze wasn't in play in that game. So, you know, chance to take a deep breath, get in your lines, talk about what's working, what's not working, and, you know, and really try and take advantage of this breeze and in the second quarter and get it back on level pegging coming into half time. That's all they'd be talking about, trying to get done.
Yeah, there were 3 moments, weren't there? There was the McManus miss, there was the Tyler Martin miss, and then there was the moment out here on the wing that you referenced, Gilly, that has probably seen the margin get to where it is at the moment. So, and of course, you couple that with the breeze at the back of North Launceston. But North Launceston were really good from the outset. They were winning stoppage ball. Josh Ponting's been enormous early. Callo's got his hands on the footy, and Cox Good just kicked himself an early goal as well. So North Launceston looking strong early, but I don't think Lauderdale will be too discouraged given the circumstances in which a couple of those goals came through.
Yeah, it's a fascinating contest as it stands, because I thought Lauderdale looked on early, to be honest. When you just don't put the score on the board, and conversely North Launceston do, the game can get away from you, even though you might be playing some really good stuff.
Yeah, and it was just, like we said, it was just a little 5-minute patch there, where and that's all it was for them. So, you know, they showed some good signs in the back end of that quarter as well. They were able to get the ball in their half. You know, Tyler Martin looked dangerous. I think it gave him a point of difference that they hadn't had. He jumped and launched at the footy, and then that'll bring the Crummers into play. So that'll bring Kieran Newer into play, Sam Burge, who we've seen hit the scoreboard as well.
So we've got Anthony Osborne down there near the huddles. What have you got for us, Tone?
Yeah, guys, so the breeze certainly favouring that end of the ground that North Launceston were kicking to. We saw that quite frequently with those kicks that were just holding up, going down Lauderdale's end. Clint Brown just heard his messages to the midfield and forward group, and they were actually saying that it's almost the perfect start in terms of their endeavour. He was really happy with the way they were operating. Just needed to really be careful that when the ball was coming up, that they actually kept their eyes on the ball instead of running back and just predicting where the ball was going to go. So just really the fundamentals that Lauderdale are working on. Also just listening to the North Launceston huddle, Josh Ponting really big on saying that if they bring the heat in the second quarter, they're confident that Lauderdale might just drop their heads and we might get a repeat of some previous grand finals. Didn't mention the repeat of previous grand finals, but he was saying that if they bring the heat and they get on top, they'll be able to really get Lauderdale to doubt themselves and be able to get on top in the second quarter.
So just see big Brett Jeeves roll through the shot there. He's here at Bellerive, where he did a lot of his finest work. Brett Jeeves for the Tassie Tigers.
Tarrant Thomas lurking as well.
Tarrant Thomas, another big name. So they're all out here at Bellerive. Good crowd here to see North Launceston get an early jump on Lauderdale. And he just, Anthony Osborne touched on it there. There's a couple of little reversals and some nickel and all that sort of stuff. Lauderdale famous for it, and that 2017 grand final was etched in the memories of the Lauderdale faithful for what happened in the first term, where they blew up really, didn't they, in the first term. They just need to make sure that doesn't happen again.
Yeah, and you'd hope they would have learnt their lessons from that. And yeah, we've seen as we mentioned earlier, we've seen as the players are coming off, there's a fair bit of chat back and forth on the interchange bench as well, hey, which is great to see, because it's a grand final. There's there's no tomorrow, so you got to play with a bit of passion. You got to you got to speak up. So yeah, they'll look to this first 10 minutes here, Lauderdale.
Sorry to interrupt, Bomb. A few stats. Inside 50s in that corner. It was significantly the way of North Launceston, 14-9. Bryce Walsh with 9 touches, 7 touches for Ponting and Foon. So they're the key winners for North Launceston. But that paints, I guess, an uplifting picture a little bit for Lauderdale. They aren't too far off the pace if you look at the inside 50s, considering they didn't have the wind at their back. Now they have that advantage. Who knows? We could see a quarter like they put together last week in the third term.
Yeah, I think we'll be able to judge perhaps the outcome of the game based after 2 quarters, when each team has kicked with and against the breeze. As you mentioned, it probably is a 2 or 3 goal breeze, so the game probably is situated about probably where it should be, given North Launceston had the breeze in the first term. So if Lauderdale can use that to their advantage in the second term, we'll probably get a clearer picture of how things might unfold at half time.
Yeah, and there's obviously elements of their game that they're really happy with. Aussie obviously reporting there on the way Brownie spoke to the midfields and forwards group. So, they'll have some internal KPIs that they're looking at, and they feel that they've ticked them off. So it'll be about, you'd like to see their forwards hold their structure a little bit ahead of the ball, especially we saw those intercept marks come into play a lot that quarter. So, and not be seduced by the breeze, because it doesn't do it for you. It's not like a game of basketball. You get down, you start jacking up 3-pointers. So chip away. We're only at quarter time. It's a 2-hour battle, and we're half an hour into it.
Tell you what, Tarrant Thomas, just a bit of a strut in the setup on him. Bit of NBA sort of
that's
swagger
what
about
when
him.
you go to the big leagues
Hit
for
the
12
big
months
time.
and you come back to little old Tassie and you've got the new threads and the haircut and all sorts of stuff. He's looking a very slick unit though, isn't he, Tarrant Thomas? Good year in the AFL for North Melbourne,
Fantastic.
by the way.
Yeah.
Not surprised with that setup. Knowing Taz pretty well from State Academy days and coaching him through the under-16s and 17s. Yeah, he's definitely got that little bit of swagger, and I think that's what makes it. That's why he was a top 10 draft pick.
Yeah, you need the swagger. And Lauderdale, well, they need to answer in this quarter. 19-point margin is an imposing one, albeit wind assisted. But still, we've seen North Launceston do this in games. They put it on the board and then they weather the storm. Here we go. Lee and Smith. Smith wins it out. Franklin kicking and finding Siggins. Mark not paid. Coming through is Smith. He's bundled over. Looking to extract it was Ponting. He was caught from either side.
So you just see what North Lonnie are doing here against the breeze. Tom Donnelly there on the wing has really just slid back behind the ball straight away as a +1. Robbie McManus trying to push hard forward on him now, make him accountable and even up those numbers.
So he swung to ground there, Smith. Firing out a handball was Siggins. Bell Chambers powers it inside 50 now. The target was McManus. he was somewhat dealt with. Ball bounces for Karanua, finds some space over the top. Raglione snapping off the right, finding the middle of the big sticks. Raglione, much needed goal and in quick time for Lauderdale.
Best part about that was the composure from Henry there. You know, he could have blazed away, he could have chucked that straight on the boot, summed up the situation, gave the hands to his teammate in a better position, and they're able to kick a goal. Really good selfless play, and hopefully that's a bit of a fire starter for Lauderdale.
Yeah, and I think the North Launceston defence would expect the Karanua to grab the footy and try and kick the goal, because that's what he's so good at. But his other string to his bow is releasing other players, and that's what he did there. Raglione, the finisher, he's had a good couple of weeks.
Yeah, great finish.
So back in the middle now, Lauderdale first blood in this second term. Ball slammed in the middle of the turf. Smith and Ledoux battled through. Came Cox Goodyear, who was swung around. Umpire said play on. He was given a long time. Whitford emerged with a footy. Cox Goodyear now with the ball. He will send North Launceston inside 50. Pat will fly, unable to take the mark. It was McCulloch as Bannister wraps up Anderton. We'll have another stoppage. So up it goes, North Launceston forward 50. McCulloch did the ruck work. Egger might have been taken off. It Trupp fed out the handball. It was immediately plucked off by Edmonds, who got through a couple of tackles. Little kick was dangerous to full forward. Handball came out to Josh Ponting. He doesn't miss those. North Launceston instant response. Josh Ponting makes no mistake. They go to 5-3-33. Lauderdale 2-2-14. 2 minutes gone. Second term.
Ponting pushing hard there as a mid, and then we see there getting front centre.
It's composed handball from Callow. Just out the side. And
so one thing with North Launceston mids, they work extremely hard forward. You've really got to go with them. You can't let them get goal side and get in front of you.
Well, they gamble a lot as well, don't they, North Lonnie? Most of the time, it's a gamble that pays off. Back in the middle, bounce down. Lee favouring the leg that isn't strapped. Bryce Walsh gets a high kick inside 50. The Flyers were all in North Launceston colours. Kick comes away with Heavey. Oh, it was a bouncing ball for Hill that he couldn't gather. Goes through for a minus score. So Lauderdale, well, they started brightly, but it was immediately cancelled out, and that's what good teams do. And North Launceston are just about the best we've seen in the last decade, as it's kicked to Davies, who couldn't gather. Out it goes for a throw in.
So right in front of the hill area, which isn't highly populated today. That's probably mainly due to the inclement weather. Siggins goes into the ruck now. He was so good there last week. That's a free kick to Walsh for in the back. So
he's been prolific.
He's been massive so far for Lauderdale, Bryce Walsh. 9 touches in the first term, as we heard from you, Gilly. He'll send Lauderdale inside 50 again, looking for a marking target, unable to be taken. They'll clear defensive 50 through Mansell towards the wing. Lauderdale have the numbers. McGuinness will get there first. He was just shoved off it by Edmonds, who managed to get a foot in. Foot race now. He's Shaw going back. He's got Callow for company. He gathered the footy. That was a wonderful ripping tackle from Callow, who just swung him, and he's been pinged.
Gee.
Well,
it was a good tackle, but did he have prior? I don't know how he's meant to get rid of it. I suppose he could have handballed there.
A very, very short amount of time to release that football.
It was a good tackle. I don't mind tackles rewarded.
It was a fantastic tackle. Callow will line up for his second. He'll kick from right on 50. Tight-ish angle, sets it on its way. That is textbook from Callow. Wonderful finish. That's what you want from your big men. Big tackles and big goals in big games. North Launceston go out to 6-3-39. They lead Lauderdale 2-2-14. 5 minutes gone, second term. TSL Grand Final. Interesting call, Trent Baumler.
Yeah, well, Callow's a really good start to the game. You know, his hands are great. Yeah, interesting one. But he's been rewarded and he made the most of his opportunity, and that's what good players do. So, you know, yeah, he's had a really good start to the game. For pressure from a big fella like that, you dream about that as a coach if your big forwards are doing that.
So 6-3-39, 2-2-14, Lauderdale in trouble. Down off hands of Lee. Ponting feeds out, only finds the opposition through Franklin. Long kick towards half forward, a bouncing ball. Hard to handle. Raglioni's gone to Foon, and he's there around the footy. Heavey dropped it off to McManus. He has a look at the sticks. McManus! Fires back for Lauderdale. Boy, they needed that.
And that's that one, Robbie's going to find himself free at times. So you see Tom Donnelly here on this wing. He got straight behind the ball, and Lauderdale working really hard to even those numbers up ahead of the footy. If it's going to be 7v7, I reckon it's going to be 7v7. They don't want to let them have any spare. And then Robbie was able to make Donnelly pay there.
You could just see the cogs working in his head. He got the footy and thought, hang on, I got the wind at my back here. I can drill this.
Yeah, fantastic finish too.
So entertaining start to this second term. McManus hits back from the Callow goal. We are back in the middle. Margin back to 19 points in North Launceston's favour. Siggins goes up against Lee. Ponting's at ground level trying to work it out. Bryce Walsh is on the scene.
Starting to get a little bit chippy in there, in and around the stoppages as well. Really good, some heavy physical pressure. So let's see how that unfolds over the next few minutes.
Up we go. Lee wins it decisively. He might have been held on to as well. In fact, he was. So it was a clear hold of the jumper there from Siggins. Umpire Geeson all over it. So Lee, well, he just showcased some moves to Siggins, gets around and gains some meterage for North Launceston. Almost a big mark taken down there, unable to be completed. Anderson wraps up Egger in the big tackle, and he is rewarded. So he pinned the arm, did Anderson, who, as you mentioned, Trent, will have a big role today, taking on the resting midfielder.
I think they call him out at Lauderdale, the janitor, Mitchie Anderson. He cleans up all the spills in D50.
Yeah, I like that. So Lauderdale have the footy on centre wing. The air handball from Siggins is spiked over the line by Simpson. Will have a boundary throw-in right in front of the interchange benches.
So 19 points the difference. Lauderdale with the wind, looking to make it count in this second quarter. Yeah, rucks wrestle. Bryce Walsh just jumps onto the footy. He's got a problem now, forces it out to Baker. Coming in hard was Jay Fu. He's got himself around the footy. So Lee with that mattress on his leg. Brings it down, looking for Bannister. Siggins just spills it to ground level. They climb on top. Bryce Walsh is in everything today. The wind's still doing plenty, isn't it?
Yeah.
Healthy crowd in. Finding good voice. Particularly packed up the top here as it's down from Lee. Squeezed out from Bannister, looking for Rushton. Arriving in time was Anderton, but it let Wadley loose. He lost the footies, he looked to run away. Bellchambers closes down the intended target. Tepper just forces his way through. Bellchambers had to win the ball and did.
So the new look Bellchambers with the
It's great to see, isn't it?
shaved head.
The Lego haircut that you referred to, gone. Is Siggins over the top, drops it for the runners, almost for Foon. Then there for Walsh, who's burrowed in. Bannister dives on top of him. You sense those two aren't best mates. And he's
Free kick.
Free kick.
There it is.
I'm happy that the umpire paid that one just to try and stop that niggle in this game as it comes along down the line. Richter Solder spilt one he should have taken. Martin forced over in front of the interchange benches. Cox Goodyear having a chat straight away. Here we go, Anthony Osborne, your time to shine.
Just saying, yeah, the interchange bench is alive and well down here at Lauderdale. Darren Winter, full of voice.
Noticing Bradley Cox Goodyear having a chat to Bannister just about that interaction with Walsh as it's down off hands. Bellchambers, Saunders, Baker rides the bump, gets it to Walsh in some space. Squares the kick. That's magnificent, almost for Karen Newer. Sutton there at ground level, fighting for the footy. Keeps it locked inside forward 50. Important.
Last couple of minutes, Bryce Walsh started to get busy here, getting his hands on the ball and giving him some drive.
So they're into each other. You sense North Lonnie are keen to suck in Lauderdale at every opportunity with that niggle as it's down offhand straight to Bill Chambers and he's wrapped up.
So we're inside Lauderdale forward 50. They trail by 19 points. They have the wind at their backs this term. They need to cash in. Lee tries to shovel out a kick. Karanua got it to Siggins. He got it to Smith. His kick was affected. He went the fist out of mid-air, only as fair as Whitford, who's wrapped up and gone. So he tried to carve a path, Taylor Whitford, but he bit off a little bit more than he could chew. And it was Karanua and Saunders coming in for the second bite of the cherry that brought him unstuck. So Saunders,
usually pretty good at this part of the game, isn't he, Bob?
Yeah, he's a class player. I know Jared Drew from us spent a bit of time with him at Casey in the VFL, and he's a big rap for him in the way he goes about it. And there you go.
And he drills it. So Saunders gets Lauderdale's fourth goal and brings this margin back to 13 points. He has his first. And this TSL Grand Final, well, plenty to talk about as Lauderdale make a bit of a move with the wind at their backs.
Whitford and Walsh into each other. Surprise, surprise. Whitford making a point to get in Walsh's grill. I think that is because he's noticed the impact of Walsh in the last couple of minutes, trying to suck him in, get him thinking about something other than the footy.
Important Bryce keeps his cool here and plays. He's had a great 5 minutes here. He's really started to be a leader and put Lauderdale on his back here, and he's smart enough. He's been here before. He's not going to buy into any of that rubbish.
They're into each other. It's a fascinating watch, that one. Smith wins it out of the middle. Oh, the bounce just sent him the wrong way, and he was sprawling on his knees. Bannister got the kick, interrupted by Baker, farmed out by McManus. Kick coming from Walsh. He's having a huge say on this game. Gilby arrives, brings it down. Leading him in the foot race was Bennett. Off for Davies. Davies back for Bennett. He has a bit of real estate to soak up. He kicks towards Callow. Gets one hand to it, brings it to the floor. Edmonds clever. Gets his kick away. Cox Goodyear. Oh, he had McGuinness done. All ends up. Trupp tumbles in on him.
McGuinness conceded.
I think McGuinness thought the kick was going deeper, got lost, and he'd conceded here. He'd already gone, oh no. And Trupp stuck the tackle. Here is McGuinness, finds his way out of traffic with a neat little spin. Kicks onto the wing. Mark spilt by McCulloch. Arms and knees, they just feed it out. Here's Simpson firing over the top. McCulloch back into traffic. Gilby farms out. Big kick from Burge. Cut off from Donnelly.
So Donnelly goes right into the middle of the ground. He's got Curran. He finds Tepper. Wants to get things moving by hand. He's got Edmonds. Goes towards 50. He's going to send a low ball towards goal. Edmonds. A low stinger rolls on home. And North Launceston hit back this time. The margin back out to 19.
See the value of North Lonnie be able to get the ball back in the corridor, play their way. You know, Benny McGuinness did nothing wrong there. You know, you've got to come forward to defend and try to shut down that ball carrier. And then his opponent, Billy Edmonds, was able to leak out. And all the North Lonnie forwards had come up the ground, so Lauderdale didn't have that goalkeeper set up there on the goal line. That's able to dribble through.
He's just good enough to do the job there, Edmonds, wasn't he? He's been a real find for them, particularly in the back half of the year.
Yeah, he previously played at Lonnie and then didn't play footy at all. He may have gone to Melbourne for uni or something like that. And yeah, he's a real hard-working forward. He's that workhorse type, gets up the ground, good hands, and makes good decisions with ball in hand too.
So the ball in the middle of the ground. Lauderdale with some work to do. Down for Smith. Brad Cox Goodyear gets it to his partner in crime, Ponting. Kicks towards the most recent goal kicker in Edmonds. He wrestles for the footy with Ben McGuinness. You wonder if he'll be thrown forward at any stage in the afternoon.
Yeah, I think we could see that at some stage. He gives them that other point of difference. So, you know, and that's something that Lauderdale has done all year. They've thrown their guys in multiple positions.
Franklin out of congestion, kicks to vacant space. Foot race on now. Edmonds first to it. Collects the footy, brought to ground. Just glides by a couple of McGuinnesses. Feeds in board. Free kick's going to come back to him.
Yeah, he was legged.
Good professional free kick there from Matty McGuinness on that stage. Turns it into a slow play, what was fast, and they can get their numbers back and try and defend.
They get their numbers back, and Edmonds sends it there. Sitting in the hole was Ben McGuinness, and he was one of the key numbers that was able to pile back. So good call bomb as Mitch Anderton finds McManus. He looks into the corridor. Burgess there, just got away from him as the wind blew it. Here's Karanua, farms it over the top. It's a free kick. It's going to go the way of Lauderdale. I think it might have been dangerous tackle. I'm not sure what's going on. Burge will be the one to take it. No, it must have been against Whitford, you sense.
Well, lucky there, Lauderdale, because it was a wall of North Launceston players at Karanua struggled to get past as they go inside 50. Saunders might have got one over the shoulder. Umpire said no. Ponting went in after it. Franklin got him. Ended up with Donnelly, who just blasts it towards the wing, but it's out of bounds on the full.
Great catch in the first row by Dion Mead there.
The Bronx cheers come from the Lauderdale faithful as things are resumed by Baker.
Oh!
That's almost a big fly coming across Hill. Heavey went in there. Karanua gets it out now to Hill, who kicks around the body and goes bang!
The old boys still got it.
Another great finish as well, and they're just doing enough at the moment, Lauderdale, to keep hanging in. That's all you have to do.
So they're doing exactly that, hanging in.
But every time they've sort of got around the mark, boys, North Lonnie have then answered quickly. So I think the big focus here for Lauderdale is to not give up a quick goal.
Yeah, if they can get to the 21-minute mark here, 22-minute mark, and we're still where we're at, or if they've added to their total, that's a win for them.
So Lee and Smith bounce down. That'll have to go again. You sense no, it was called to keep going. That's a strange old call. Lee forces the ball out of there. McGuinness fist down. Whitford on it. Anderton on him. Fed out the side. Davies kicks in board. Just out of the reach of Ponting. First to it was Baker. Almost forces it out. In the end, it does go out, courtesy of Ponting.
That's two wildly errant bounces that haven't been recalled.
It had to be recalled. I don't know what that was.
And I don't know if I'm wrong. I believe the rule is if it's outside the circle, it's got to come back. So, that's a no-brainer that has to come back.
So one over the shoulder. Callow just strayed in the ruck contest, and it will be Smith's ball.
So little run on here for Lauderdale. A couple of free kicks and a couple of goals. Hayden Smith has the footy, the big unit. Goes short. Heavey inboard now to Bell Chambers. Damien Gill very happy about the recent choice to lob off the hair. I don't mind it either. So the slightly lighter Bell Chambers goes towards half forward. Siggins reels it in with the one arm. Wheels around immediately. High ball inside 50. Sutton was getting back. Good defensive mark taken by Simpson. Had to be strong in the contest and was going back. Richter Salter also made to work, but he was good enough in the back pocket for North Launceston. Another fine defender for the Northern Bombers over several years now. Richter Salter, big fly out there on the outer wing. Rushton emerges with the footy for North Launceston. He'll get them moving forward towards half forward. They could be out the back here. Callow takes the mark. He's been impressive today. He's got something he likes forward. It's going to hold up into the wing. That's a nice mark going back. McGuinness with courage, as always.
He finds Walsh. Two co-skippers combine. Inboard he goes. Bell Chambers good enough. Bell Chambers now saying, run at me, boys. Kicks long in the Gilby direction. Arrives too late. You feel for Bell Chambers a little there. Just flat-footed, the Lauderdale half-forwards at the minute. So Richter Salter from half-back pops it up to a pack. McCulloch, the big man there, gets through to Callow. Callow drops it off. Foon forces it out to Egger. Egger shakes. Gets by one. He'll get it back courtesy of Bannister. In the middle he goes. Opened it up with perfection, did Egger. Kick coming now. Looking for the coach, Whitford. Big fist, Anderton. Still there for North Launceston. Ponting made a wear one. Shielded the ball. Tepper. Bannister gone. The kick comes away from Shaw. Ben McGuinness almost with a mark. Sutton across, caught one high, got the footy, forces it out in front of the interchange. And Lauderdale
Good
pass a
passage.
big test.
Two massive efforts there from Mitchie Anderton. Come off, spoiling that contest 1v1 v Whitford, and then coming off him and letting him cheat out the back, but then impacting the next one. So really good by Mitch there.
So 13 points. Smith down for Walsh. Walsh long in the direction of Ben McGuinness. Flying was Martin. Off hands, all North Launceston. Young back the other way. Oh, miscommunication between Walsh and Bellchambers. They aren't made to pay, though, as it's dropped off from Bellchambers to Walsh. Cut off from Rushton.
So the Walsh kick, he's had plenty of them. This one was chopped off by Rushton, as you mentioned. He flares things wide to Ponting. Cox Goodger hasn't quite had the impact that he would have liked in this game just yet. The ball will head in his direction now as McCulloch comes over the top. Couldn't quite hang on. Tepper at the fall of the pack. Got the handball out to Rushton. He's wrapped up. He's going to be... Well, he was given a long time to get rid of it, which he eventually did. The umpire said it'll be a Lauderdale ball anyway because the Ponting kick went out of bounds on the full. The truck brings it in. They have it defensive 50 here. Lauderdale, slightly risky kick, but it's good enough. Mark's taken by Hill, who just goes long and strong to a 2-on-2. Nobody able to take the mark. Event was at the back of the pack. He had time and space to get onto his left boot. Big fly McCulloch, unable to hang on. Ball spills down to Cox Goodger. Evades the Bellchambers tackle. Handball is an absolute beauty to Foon. He rides the tackle and gets it off to Wadley. He cuts inside. Short ball is a good one now. North Launceston on the move. They move it by hand. Flying shot on goal from Davies. He misses. So minor score, North Launceston.
Just a couple of instances there where North Lonnie been able to get the ball via foot and hands back through the corridor, and you see how dangerous they are, how they slingshot really quickly and can open your back line up and put them under the pump.
So the thoughts of Trent Baumler, coach of the Kingborough Tigers TSL team, with us today providing special comments. The kick came out, was missed by Ponting. Lauderdale with a chance now through hand. Franklin kept it in, kick around the corner. Will evade his teammate in McGuinness as Mansell sees it over for a boundary throw in just between wing and right half forward for the Southern Bombers.
Anthony Osborne.
Yeah, Bart McCulloch absolutely crushed in that last contest. He's just getting some attention from the doctor. I'll keep you updated.
Thanks, Anthony. Ball back in. Ponting forces it North Launceston's way. Callow with the sit. Drops it off for the coach, Whitford. Whitford long towards the square. Edmonds out the back in a foot race with Matt McGuinness. Oh, just touched by Matt McGuinness. Looked like being a really sharp finish from Edmonds. So Josh McGuinness from full back. Drives it long, fisted away from Lee, down from Tepper. Tepper now for Cox Goodyer handballed it to no one in particular. Works out somehow. Whitford off now for Callow. Looking for his third tackle just as he kicked. And Edmonds couldn't reel it in as it went over the boundary line on the full.
So Cox Goodyer, uncharacteristic handball to no one, but Whitford was good enough to swoop on the loose footy and create a shot on goal. The pressure from Lauderdale was good, but North Launceston peppering here in the last few minutes. The kick in is an absolute beauty. They have it now through Heavey to the Southern Bombers. He goes wide to Sutton, who had to just stretch and hang on, and he did so. He wants Walsh at right half forward, and he's going to get him. Walsh now with time and space. He has to evade one tackler. Did really, really well. Callow was the man. He sends Lauderdale long and strong inside 50. No mark able to be taken on the last line, and it spills over for a minor score. So they go to 5-3-33, the Southern Bombers. They still trail North Launceston 7-5-47.
He very nearly reeled that in, Ben McGuinness.
So Mitchie Anderson back off the interchange bench. I reckon he'll go back pretty quickly to Whitford there in that matchup that was there previously.
Starting to get away from him a little bit, isn't he, Whitford? Bryce Walsh probably been the best player on the ground for mine. Been terrific.
His quarter, yeah, he's carried Lauderdale this quarter. It'd be good to see, in that last little passage of play, Reece Sutton start to come into the game in the second half. He's a bit of a game breaker for them and a pretty underrated player. He's going to have a really important role to play.
So out the back, Brad Cox Goodyer handballs in, a ricochet straight into his head. Be thrown on in again. As he collects himself after that. 7-5-47 plays 5-3-33. There's a whistle, blood rule. Yeah, so I think that's, he kicked it, caught the ricochet in the scone, and he's copped some claret as a result.
Yeah, some claret from the nose for Cox Goodger.
So hasn't quite been at his destructive best, which, to be honest, looms large.
Baker's done a pretty good job so far.
So the ball to be thrown in. Lauderdale in the right area for them. They need a goal before half-time, you sense, just to really stay tight to North Launceston, who've done pretty well against the wind in this term. So in it comes Lee and Siggins. Lee palms down, Siggins gets the follow-up. Sweeping across was Ponting, got his kick away. Anderton looks to gather, in and under, good ball to win. Crunched in a tackle was Franklin. Rather McManus. Ball to be thrown up again. Far wing here at Blundstone Arena, down from Lee. Picking up was Anderton. Arches the back, farms it over the top. And they gain distance and not much else.
So precariously placed. This grand final. North Launceston lead, not by much.
We'll be pleased with that last little bit. Lauderdale, you know, we spoke about if they could limit their score for after they kicked that last one, which they've been able to do. Be good for them, you know, going into half time if they could sneak one in red time.
So ball on centre wing, out of side. It's all wrapped up. Nathan Geeson, the umpire, comes in to do his thing. So Siggins and Lee. Lee wins the hit out this time. He's been pretty good with the strapped up knee. Franklin pounces on the loose footy. Finds a teammate. Short ball is good. They'll come in board now. Well, they'll try to come in board now. Lauderdale, the kick was affected though. Now a chance for North Launceston. High ball towards half forward. Strong mark taken, Callow. He's been impressive today. He has it at right half forward for North Launceston. He'll send them deep, looking for Edmonds. Over the back was Baker, who won the day, fed out the long handball. They'll work it out of defence here. Hill got it back to a teammate in the back pocket. Kicks to a 2-on-1 beyond a wing. The wing carries it. In fact, it was a push out. It'll go Lauderdale's way.
Bryce Walsh again.
Another kick here to Bryce Walsh, who has been industrious, to say the least. He loses a boot on the way through.
Just quietly, I'm happy they don't pay those 50s anymore. They're throwing back ones.
So Walsh gets things moving by hand to Heavey, who sends Lauderdale inside 50. Siggins couldn't complete the mark. Out by hand now, North Launceston. A wonderful running defence from Wadley, who got it into the middle of the ground, and Callow will get a free kick.
Callow's been terrific. I think they've switched the match up there, Bomb. It looks like maybe Alex Hill's gone back to mind him.
Yeah, it looks like he's moved from the forward line back, so that might mean, and I think that does mean that Benny McGuinness has gone forward here, and you see Conor Young picking him up.
So mark taken by Ponting. They're into it at half time. Fireworks. They stream from the bench.
Guess who?
7-5-47, 5-3-33. That's the scoreline at half-time in the Bupa TSL Grand Final for 2019. Tempers flaring. Still game on here. Advantage North Launceston, no question, but Lauderdale in striking distance.
Yeah, feels like that quarter Lauderdale were able to get it back, get some reward on the scoreboard as well, which was really important as we discussed at quarter time. So it feels like it's that little bit of an arm wrestle stage now, and this third quarter, this first 10 minutes, she'll be on, or she's on at the moment. So obviously there's a Lauderdale guy in the hands of the trainers, so pretty tough on the other side of the ground here, so it'll be interesting to see.
I think it's Bryce Walsh.
It is Bryce Walsh. Surprise, surprise. So a storied history, these two clubs, over the past 2 or 3 years. North Launceston and Lauderdale, of course. Northern Bombers getting the chocolates in the previous 2 grand finals. They're on their way to perhaps winning another one, but Lauderdale are not going to go quietly. They only trail by a slender margin as the boos ring out from the Lauderdale faithful to their northern counterparts. They make their way to the rooms, an entertaining first half. Lauderdale did pretty well in that second term. I feel they might have wanted to capitalise a little bit further than they did, though, with the win.
I'm just down here with assistant coach Clint Brown here, gents. Brownie, 14 points down at half-time. This game's still well and truly in the balance.
Yeah, absolutely. And looking at the conditions, the breeze is still favouring this end. We've got to defend a little bit better this quarter than we did in the first.
Where do you see the rural areas of improvement apart from that heading into the second half?
Yeah, we're not really looking after their spares to get behind the ball. There's a few times there where they're looking to drop back off from the stoppages and our forwards aren't rolling up quick enough. You know, something we've talked about all week and we're just not adjusting to that. We need to get better at that.
And the conditions playing a bit of a role as well?
I think so. That's definitely the scoring end for sure. Yeah.
No worries. Best of luck in the second half.
Thanks there, Oz. So there you have it. Game still up for grabs as far as Clint Brown's concerned, and I think as far as we're concerned, this game's still in the balance. Lauderdale not out of it. They're going to need a big second half, though. Currently trail at, what's the equation here, 14 points, so well and truly in touching distance. We look at the key movers, I guess, in the first half, boys, and I've been particularly impressed with Jackson Callow. I reckon he's probably one of the best couple on the ground.
Yeah, he's presenting up the ground as well as staying deep, and we saw that big tackle that he laid to win himself a free kick, and then the finish as well from 50 against the wind too. It was a wonderful goal from a big forward. He's kicked 2 for the day, and his hands have been really sticky. He's looking to get things moving at all costs, so he's provided a really, really good target in the absence, I suppose, of Bart McCulloch a little bit, who hasn't quite had the impact that he'd normally have on a big game, so Jackson Callow able to really stand up. We might just roll through the goal kickers while we got him on the screen. Jackson Callow, as I mentioned, had 2. Ben Simpson, Dakota Bannister, Brad Cox-Goodyer and Josh Ponting all have singles for North Launceston, while it's all singles as well for Lauderdale, with Burge, Raglioni, McManus, Saunders and Hill all hitting the scoreboard. Bryce Walsh, who was involved in that tangle just at the end of the quarter there, or the end of the half, he was massive in that second term for Lauderdale.
Yeah, Bryce was, you know, as the captain or the co-captain does, he put them on their back, he got them going, you know, he instigated a bit of niggle, and I think the guys grew from that, you know, their chests were out and they were here to play, and you know, Brownie made some great points. You know, they've got to sort out those spares behind the ball, you know, something that they've worked on during the week, so, you know, half-time gives them that 20-minute break to sort of recalibrate things, make sure they're getting back to the plan. And, yeah, the game's a bit of an arm wrestle. Probably, as you mentioned, Rowie, probably don't undersell the job that Nick Baker going around with Brad Cox-Goodyer there. Like, you know, we've all sort of said Brad's not having he's playing a really good game, but he's not having the impact that he generally has. So, you know, big challenge for Bakes to keep going with that for another 60 minutes as well in the second half.
I think Gilly's rushing off to get us some stats, so we'll hear some of the major ball winners and inside 50s and the like in just a few moments. I thought Whitford was really good as well. He threatened to get off the leash at times, didn't he, Taylor Whitford, for North Launceston? I think Lauderdale held him reasonably well, but he threatened to get off the leash and showed some signs of why he's one of the guns of the competition. Gilly, you've got some stats for us.
Some quick stats, yeah. So Lauderdale, in terms of clearances, North Launceston have had the better there, 19 to 13. Inside 50s, they led at 25 to 21. Bryce Walsh, the leading ball getter, 19 touches, and Josh Ponting with 16. So they're the two prolific ball getters. Cox-Goodyer has said he's been quiet. He still had 12. So
yep.
Jay Foon 9, and I think he had 7 at quarter time. He did. So they've done well to clamp him down, putting Raglioni on to him in that quarter. Franklin and Siggins both relatively quiet for their standards, 8 touches apiece.
Yeah, so some of the big names, Ponting, of course, the reigning Lynch medalist, having an impact, 16 disposals to half-time. He's very good going, and Walsh, who we talked about as well. 19 disposals. I'm not sure what efficiency he's going at. He's sort of sent a few balls out of the congestion, but I guess that's what happens when you're winning the ball at the coalface and feeding it out there. Your percentages aren't going to be super high, but he's certainly getting his hands on it.
And I think for both teams as well, when you look at the numbers of certain players, there's a lot of growth areas for both teams as well. And I think probably as the game starts to break open in the second half, you know, you'll see that Reece Sutton and Heavey, Davies came into it a little bit, I feel, at times there for North Launceston. Those guys on the outside are going to become important, you know, in the second half. So a lot of growth areas for both teams.
Well, should we talk about some of the players who haven't quite stood up just yet? I think for Lauderdale, Jacob Gilby, he's been barely sighted. I don't think I've seen him or called his name at all in the first half. I think they'd want a little bit more out of him.
Yeah, and I think you just have to sit him deep, to be honest. I like him sort of, Brownie says this a lot, 0 to 30. He's a great player, really smart in the marking contest and usually finishes off. They're getting him up the ground a bit too much for my liking, and he's not really a force in that zone of the ground. I would send him deep and just see if you can bring him into the game. He's won massively. Ben McGuinness, he's been reasonable but has some serious upside. He can be electrifying at times, so if they can get him into the game. Kieran Newer flashes in and out, same with Saunders. If have a little bit more of it, who knows for Lauderdale, but you'd have to favour North Launceston from here.
Yeah, and just going through the North Launceston list, I suppose, that there aren't many in there that haven't contributed. Maybe Bart McCulloch, you maybe would have expected a bit more from, I suppose, after a half. But apart from that, Cox Goodyear we mentioned quite by his standards, but still the 12 touches. Taylor Whitford we spoke about starting to do some nice things. Bannister, I think, has been around. Josh Ponning's been really good. And then you go all the way through. Rick DeSalta, Raven have been solid. Foon, Egger's been okay as well. And then I guess they're, again, inverted commas, lesser types. But they're just still doing their job, aren't they, and playing their role. And it's resulted in a half-time lead, which they'll be relatively happy with.
I think yeah, as you look at the closeness of the contest, I think both teams will, you know, it's not panic stations yet where you've got to spin the magnets massively. I think Lauderdale might do that a little bit more. We saw Alex Hill go back, Ben McGuinness go forward, which is something they do a lot. I think probably they'd like a bit more drive and ball in hands of Josh McGuinness. So obviously he cops a lot of attention. He gets that defensive forward. Josh can go forward as well, or Josh can even go inside or go out on a wing too. I think that they'd probably like the ball in his hands a bit more because he gives them so much. You know, he's one of their captains and one of their better players. So I think there's a lot of growth in his game coming in the second half as well.
So there we have it at half-time, 7-5-47, North Launceston, Lauderdale 5-4-34. They're in the game. Big second half coming up in the Bupa TSL Grand Final. Stay with us. Brief break now from commentary. Raglione snapping off the right, finding the middle of the big sticks. Raglione, much needed goal and in quick time for Lauderdale.
Best part about that was the composure from Henry.
The truck fed out the handball. It was immediately plucked off by Edmonds, who got through a couple of tackles. Little kick was dangerous to full forward. Handball came out to Josh Ponting. He doesn't miss those. North Launceston, instant response. Josh Ponting. He's sure going back. He's got Callow for company. He gathered the footy. That was a wonderful ripping tackle from Callow, who just swung him. And he's been line up for his second. He'll kick from right on 50. Tight-ish angle. Sets it on its way. That is textbook from Callow. Wonderful finish. That's what you want from your big men. Big tackles and big goals in big games. North Launceston.
And he's there around the footy. Heavey dropped it off to McManus. He has a look at the sticks. McManus players back for Lauderdale. Boy, they needed that.
And that's that
Big
one.
mark taken down there, unable to be completed. Anderson wraps up Egger in the big tackle, and he is rewarded. So he
Out at Lauderdale, the janitor, Mitchie Anderson, cleans up all the spills in D50.
Yeah, I like that. So Lauderdale have the footy on centre wing.
The bump. Gets it to Walsh in some space. Squares the kick. That's magnificent, almost for Kieran Ewer. Sutton there at ground level, fighting for the footy. Keats.
He got it to Smith. His kick was affected. He went the fist out of mid-air, only as fair as Whitford, who's wrapped up and gone.
Well, I spent a bit of time with him at Casey in the VFL, and he's a big rap for him in the way he goes about it. And there you go.
And he drills it. So Saunders gets Lauderdale's 4th goal and brings this margin
Hand to it, brings it to the floor. Edmonds clever. Gets his kick away. Cox Goodyear. Oh, he had McGuinness done, all ends up.
He's got Curran. He finds Tepper, wants to get things moving by hand. He's got Edmonds, goes towards 50. He's going to send a low ball towards goal. Edmonds. A low stinger rolls on home. Come from the Lauderdale faithful as things are resumed by Baker.
Oh!
That's almost a big fly coming across Hill. Heavey went in there. A big fly coming across Hill. Heavey went in there. Kieran Ewer gets it out now to Hill, who kicks around the body and goes bang.
The old boys still got it.
Lob off the hair. I don't mind it either. So the slightly lighter Bell Chambers goes towards half forward. Siggins reels it in with the one arm.
Long towards the square. Edmonds out the back in a foot race with Matt McGuinness. Oh, just touched by Matt McGuinness. Looked like being a really sharp finish.
He's the man. He sends Lauderdale long and strong inside 50. No mark able to be taken on the last line. And it spills over for a moment.
So welcome back, Blunston Arena. Half time over, the major break out of the way, and a big second half coming up. What do we expect, gentlemen?
Well, the breeze seems to have died down a little bit, not quite favouring the southern end as much as it was, but it's hard to know what to expect. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if North Launceston come out and just went bang, bang, bang and kicked the first three in the first 6 or 7 minutes, but conversely, I wouldn't be surprised if Lauderdale did the same thing as well. It's very hard to pick. It's been a pretty tight, closely contested affair. I think North Launceston are obviously leading by a couple of goals, but I also think they've had slightly rub of the green as well with a couple of decisions. We saw the Jackson Callow tackle and goal, and I just wasn't sure that his opponent had a prior opportunity, and we saw the Dakota Bannister one as well that resulted in a goal to Callow on top of that one in the first term, and so that's probably been the difference so far. Lauderdale haven't been bad by any stretch, only trailed by a couple of goals, so first goal crucial in this one. Lauderdale either get it back to within a goal or North Launceston skip out to a 3-goal sort of margin. So I reckon whoever kicks the first goal will be, they'll have their tails up, I reckon. I think that wins a massive factor though, and who can utilise it the best and take their chances.
I think your point, Ro, is spot on. Is, you know, both teams have the capacity, and we've seen it in finals this year where they can go flick that switch and kick those 3-4 goals in a row. But, you know, the game's that quarter there trending towards, you know, a bit of an arm wrestle, you know, a bit of niggle now on the game, bit of spice. Hopefully that keeps the contest tight, and, you know, and we're going in a red time in the fourth quarter. We can get our third thriller of the day.
Yeah, strike rate has been fantastic so far. D-League was unbelievable. The women's was ridiculous. And then the men's is shaping up to be relatively close as well. So another tight contest would be fantastic, certainly for the crowd. And what are we thinking the crowd is at the moment, boys? It'd have to be what, 3-ish?
I don't know. I have no feel for it in this.
It's hard to tell at the big in the big stadiums, but it's certainly a vocal crowd. Plenty of voice coming from the Lauderdale faithful, who are always a rowdy bunch, but in a good way, that is. North Launceston have sent a pretty strong travelling contingent south as well.
And good to see people here supporting it. You know, the first grand final in the south for 3 years, so, you know, that element of people voting with their feet is really good.
So, yes.
Not far away from the resumption. As we said, that in terms of the major ball winners, Bryce Walsh been prolific, 19. Ponting, very, very good as well with 16. Callow, magnificent around the arcs. What's he had? 2 goals. We haven't kept a watching brief on him, but he would have had a fair few marks to go with that. Straight at the first bounce, Walsh into Tepper. You wonder whether they've gone right, Tepper. Now you've got to shut down Walshy.
That's his job now, I reckon.
Because he got away from them a little bit. So here we are, second half, about to start. Bounce down, it favours Smith. Smith down to himself. Just gets by him. Here's Franklin. Shakes and bakes and opens up the other side of the ground. Kicking in the direction of Sutton. Went between him and Karanua. Copped a bit of friendly fire, did Henry Karanua. Didn't quite know whether or not to attack it at full flight or to sort of wait for it. And it could have been dangerous if he really went.
Got caught in 2 minds.
So up it goes again, Smith and Lee. Lee's done well considering he's got that mattress on his leg. Comes out the back, Sutton finds Anderton. Anderton off for the run of McManus. McManus inside forward 50. Kicking towards Saunders. He had his back to the ball. Gilby looking to track it down. He's bumped off it by Cox Goodyear. Farms the ball out. Here's Siggins. Oh, he didn't go to pick it up in the end and left Mansell on his own. He kicks out, and that has to be deliberate, you sense. Oh, no. I guess Donnelly was in the vicinity, but for me, he only had eyes for the boundary. Lucky one there for Ryan Mansell and North Launceston.
Well, they pay those ones in the big leagues, that's for sure, but North Launceston get a reprieve this time as Lee gets to the front of the contest, wins it down. There's Walsh coming in for his 20th disposal, but he's unable to feed it out as Cox Goodyear claims him. So we think Tepper might have gone to Walsh here. It looks to be the case.
You look at these first couple stoppages here, 18 1v1 contests all over the ground.
As Karanua just sees it over for another boundary throw-in. So Tepper v Walsh, that'll be one to keep an eye on in this second half. 19 disposals for Bryce Walsh in the first half. Looks like Cox Goodyer and Bellchambers matched up on one another to start the second term as Lee wins it down in the Cox Goodyer direction. Bellchambers for company, and Whitford might have been held coming through. Umpire said he was. So it'll be a North Launceston free kick. In fact, it won't be Whitford, it'll be Cox Goodyer. So Cox Goodyer plays on immediately, runs around the mark, high, deep, penetrating ball inside 50. The fist came. It'll be over for a boundary throw-in. 5 metres around from the right-hand behind post.
Looks like Shaw's on Callow, the devil-on-devil combo.
That'll be an intriguing matchup too. A couple of young guns locking horns in this second half. Rucks go at it once again. They're at ground level as they try and wrench the footy free. Nobody able to do so. We'll have another stoppage precariously close to the North Launceston goal if you're a Lauderdale fan. Just 10 metres out. First goal massive here in this second half. Lauderdale will work it out here through hands though. Baker got it over the top to Trutt, who has some clear air. He feeds it off to a teammate. They go further inboard now to Hill, who was reasonably slow to get it on the boot, but he did eventually. Saunders is at right half forward with Mansell for company. A good one-on-one battle that eventually sees the footy spill out of bounds. So North Launceston 7-5-47 hold a slender advantage over Lauderdale 5-4-34, 3.5 gone, third term.
Some good outside run there. We saw Reece Sutton. We've mentioned him, that we expect him to come into the game. A couple handball receives on the outside, able to transition the ball.
The ball spills out, courtesy of the ruckman Hayden Smith. Climbing on top was Foon. The umpire was circling, so lucky it kept on moving. Saunders locks it in. Next goal, as you said, Chris Rowbottom, is massive. Absolutely massive as Smith paddles out the back looking for the run of Siggins. Good tackle applied there by Baker. Up it goes once more. Smith in front. Drops it to his toes. Siggins couldn't gather. He was held though, so he'll get a free kick. Sam Siggins, he's another one that could get into the game a little bit more. His kick looking for Raglione doesn't pay off. Ben McGuinness somehow kicked it away. He didn't mean to. It was Ponting. Takes the footy. Kicks out onto the wing. McManus takes the mark.
McManus, centre wing, out of side. Been okay today, Robbie McManus. The veteran goes inboard to Karanua. Wants to get and go immediately. He'll kick inside 50. One-on-one contest. Unable to be won out by Lauderdale as North Launceston now rebound off defensive 50. Davies with the kick to half forward looking for Callow, but Shaw did really well. They work it out by hand now. McGuinness gives it to Sutton. He goes inside. High ball inside 50. Big fly. Saunders unable to take the mark. Gilby went on through. Might have given away the free kick, and he did. So a quiet day for Gilby. Gives away the free kick. North Launceston emerge with the footy. They've got numbers on the outer side. This will need a kind bounce. It was really well worked out. Ended up with Fletcher Bennett. He goes over the top now to Cox Goodyer, who's got time to operate. Goes long towards the goal square. Getting back, though, was a couple of Lauderdale defenders who did really well. Egger came bursting through, evaded a tackle, got it out to Donnelly, who went one way, then the other, and then Donnelly, an unlikely goal kicker.
Great sidestep there from Tommy Donnelly, and great finish as well.
So Donnelly gets first blood in this
Really
third term.
well.
We spoke
Egger
about
came
how
bursting
crucial this
through.
first goal would be,
Evaded a tackle,
and it is
got
a
it
big
out to
one that
Donnelly.
goes the way of North Launceston. They go back out to a 19-point advantage. They're 8-5-53. Lauderdale 5-4-34. 6 minutes gone, third term.
So back in the middle. North Launceston skip out to that 19-point buffer. Every time Lauderdale get a step closer, North Launceston just assert their dominance, don't they? find the answer. Umpire Butler to bounce down. 6 and change gone in this third quarter. Lee down for the runners. Walsh leads Ponting to the ball. Squirts it out the back. Smith handballed, had the ball blocked. Now danger times here for Lauderdale. Smith butters up with a tackle. I think Smith was saying during the week this is the 4th grand final he's played North Launceston, because he played one at Western Storm. He's never beaten them. The way it's going, Smithy is not looking good as he drops it down straight to the opposition. Foon fires, he's happy with it. North Launceston are running away.
I reckon they'd be pretty disappointed with that. Lauderdale, obviously, they spoke about their forwards rolling up to North Lonnie Spares, and Foon just running through that stoppage unopposed, with his opponent trailing him in, and that's a crucial goal, and especially at this time of the game, they'd be bitterly disappointed of going away from their shape and their defensive principles there.
So North Launceston kick away, 25 points the margin now. It was just 13 at half-time, which was 7.5 minutes ago. Raglione left in the wake of Jay Foon. The experienced Jay Foon.
Now you look North Lonnie potentially smelling a bit of blood in the water. You look at their on-ball brigade here at that centre bounce. Whitford, Ponting, Tepper still doing his job there. So looking to get the big guns around the footy and really try and put the foot on the gas.
There's one of them in Siggins who gets things moving forward for Lauderdale. They need to respond here. Flying shot off the deck. Looks okay. It hits the post.
I think that was Raglione.
I think it was too.
He does some weird stuff.
He's an enigmatic type. He hit the post on that occasion with the flying shot off the ground. The kick in was almost taken easily and uncontested by Lee, but he dropped it at the crucial second. Siggins paddled it to Bell Chambers, who goes in at ground level. We're all wrapped up though. We'll have another stoppage at right half forward for Lauderdale, who have been issued a challenge here by North Launceston. They've said, what have you got? Let's see what the Southern Bombers do have, as Ponting is ripped off a handball, gets it moving forward. Bannister couldn't gather cleanly. Siggins just sends a high ball towards half forward. Kieran Ewer worked underneath it. He'll have another chance here. Burge went in hard, couldn't trap the footy. North Launceston emerged with it now. Spiral inside 50. It evaded Trupp. They're scrambling back towards goal. They need a kind bounce. It only just comes. Will Edmonds is there to lay the tackle. Ball still alive. It'll all be wrapped up.
It's been a few times today where, North Launceston's forwards have done a great job of dragging Lauderdale's defenders up the ground and creating that room out the back. They've nearly been caught a couple of times, so Lauderdale really got to try and get that goalkeeper position in place.
So Alex Hill takes it out of the ruck, just kicks it out. Has to be... oh, wow.
Well, he couldn't pay that one after not paying the previous one. So
that's as deliberate as it gets, I reckon.
Probably 1-1 now. It was deliberate, absolutely.
I mean, it was a skill error. He didn't mean to kick it out that way, but when you do and no one's in the area, generally they're plucked. As Smith was worked under it, probably could have had a fair cry for a free kick. McGuinness breezes on through, finds Bell Chambers, gets the ball away in the nick of time. Kicking for Ben McGuinness, worked out of it by Jay Foon. Starting to come into the game, drops it off for Mansell, who's keen to go immediately. Yeah. Looks for Bart McCulloch, who sprawled to try and take the grab. Dropping it was Edmonds. Trump goes unrewarded. The stoppage.
Dangerous period here. You can really feel that breeze in the last couple of minutes has really kicked up. So, Lauderdale have got to defend strongly here and try and get it out of this area.
So up it goes. Almost slapped down by Smith. Just forced out there by Hill. It's not a terrible kick for Lauderdale. Sutton first to it. He handballs it out. Climbing on top was Davies. Forces it back in. Lucky the umpire was not falling for the games that Whitford and Davies were playing. I've got an attendance that's come through. 4692.
Yeah, good crowd.
That's across the day, must be said, but you'd think the bulk of those are still here. Out the back, here's Cox Goodyear onto it. Oh, ball blocked. Well done, Josh McGuinness. Off the Bell Chambers. Bell Chambers off now for Burge. Opens up for Lauderdale. Needs a good kick. Puts it out in front of Heavey and says, old man, run onto it. Gets onto it, does the old boy. Kicking towards Raglione. Shields the ball nicely. Raglione misses it as he looked to slap it into the path of Karanua. Jumps on top. Umpire circling, holding the footy.
Gee.
Wow. I don't know. It's hard to pick up from here whether there was no attempt to get rid of it.
Yeah, it seemed unlucky, but
It did seem unfortunate, but Raglione, you spoke about him, he's an enigmatic type.
yep.
All started down in the back 50 with Josh McGuinness's effort down there. You know, Macca got him going there, and a good smother, which could have been a goal. So they get down the other end here and give themselves a chance.
Raglione spears it to Trupp. So the backman in uncharted waters. We'll have a look at things from about 40. A goal is desperately needed. Of course, the wind blowing the way of North Launceston in this quarter seems to have died off a touch. So Trupp, the kick, 45 out, sends it sailing through. The full back gives Lauderdale some life. Badly needed goal.
Desperately needed goal. Eddie Trupp floats inside forward 50 and receives from Raglione, a fellow defender. So interesting stuff from Lauderdale. But gee, maybe they might move the magnets a little bit more often. Maybe next year we'll see Trupp up forward if he's going to finish like that against the wind.
Really good, building that on pressure. A smother down in the back half, a holding the ball up there. You know, some tackle pressure, some smothers. You know, gets them a goal. So build that on that next 5 minutes here on those pressure and those little acts, and get themselves back into it.
So Lauderdale get one back. They desperately needed it, but North Launceston are going to go forward again off the boot of Ponting. It was missed there by Edmonds. Trupp came through again. A magnificent couple of minutes he's had. Gets Lauderdale towards half forward. Good contest. Rick the Salter and Raglione. Over for a boundary throw-in. So, no, with another chance here. They force another stoppage. Some terrific running work off half-back from Eddie Trupp, the full-back of the year. Whitford swinging around, kicking towards the wing. Saunders did really well to trap it, gets onto his left boot, kicks inside 50 mark, not quite taken. Karanua at the fall of the ball. He shakes and bakes and zigs and zags and kicks inside 50, unable to be claimed by a Lauderdale jumper as it spills out of bounds in the left forward pocket for the Southern Bombers.
How good was that from Henry? Good luck trying to tackle that when he's going like that.
Just a little wiggle of the hips was all it took. In it comes. So Rux will go at it. Smith palms it down. Tyler Martin's there, as is Bell Chambers. Now another stoppage here for Lauderdale. They'll be looking to snag something out of the congestion and claw their way back within touch. Smith slaps at goalwood, only as far as Ponting, who clears defensive 50 with a tumbling ball. Bannister was there, he couldn't take possession. McManus has it now for Lauderdale, high up and under. Get underneath that, he says. Simpson at the fall of the footy. Karanua was super clean. Got off the handball. Tahivy goes outside of the right boot. Big fly, unable to be taken. Gilby be all wrapped up again.
Jeez, hot stuff at the moment. You can hear the crowd lift as well.
They're just getting anxious, aren't they?
You certainly feel the energy in the game. North Lonnie really holding up well, though, here as well.
So another roll of the dice here for Lauderdale. North Launceston defence is standing up under these repeat entries. We'll have another stoppage 15 metres out from the Lauderdale goal.
Quality outfit, North Launceston. They just, as you said, Bob, not letting the cheap goal come as Smith gets in front position, down for Saunders, tries to throw it to the boot. I think Gilby collected Mansell there. Cox Goodyear tried to get out of there. Slapping on the boot was Raglione. He's manufactured a ripper. Well, he's an enigma, this bloke. Defender come forward, his second of the day. And he just makes things happen when he's around the footy.
Really well set up behind the ball there by Lauderdale. You know, all 1v1 contest was always going to be hard for North Lonnie to get the ball out of that area. It was going to live up there for a while. It was really vital that Lauderdale took their chance when they got it, and we saw that, Raglione kicking that goal.
All of a sudden, back to a 2-goal margin, 9-5-59, the Northern Bombers, 7-5-47, Lauderdale, 16 and a half gone, third term.
Raglione, the first multiple goal kicker for Lauderdale.
He certainly is. Who would have thought the rangy Raglione, the enigma, who does some weird, wacky and wonderful things, kicks his second. They fight for it here, Lauderdale. Ponting's a jet, and he holds it in.
So just with that midfield mix in there, Tepper's not in there at the moment, so you've got Bryce going head-to-head with Taylor there, so that tag's not there, so one of them might be able to get off the chain here for a couple minutes.
So out it comes, North Launceston looking to move it forward. In good hands here through Cox Goodyear, who goes one way then the other. Gives off the don't argue to Robbie McManus. Sends the Bombers forward. Unable to be trapped there by Edmonds. Callow came out, kept it alive. Truck was there, might have been taken high by Rushton. Umpire said no. Stoppage in the forward pocket. So now it's North Launceston's turn to respond. They hold a 2-goal advantage here, so not quite panic stations. Oh, Whitford was magnificent off the pack. The check side was almost sublime, but it crashed into the behind post.
Got to be really, really switched onto that if you're the Lauderdale midfielders. Taylor's one of the best mids at forward 50 stoppages for running through it and getting the ball on the fly, because he's got such good connection with our Lee. So you really got to get goal side of him and get your body on him.
So McGuinness had Siggins on the
That's
broadcast side, but he's gone banged beyond defensive 50 to the outer side. It's in the arms of Burge now, who kicks inside. But it's chopped off now by Simpson for the Bombers, who goes inboard to Richter Salter.
Richter Salter straight down the spine. Kicking long and direct for McCulloch. Out the back, the ball's kept on bouncing. Has picked up some steam. Luckily, it's the other side of the post for the Bombers of the southern variety. So McManus from full back goes long with that ball. Off hands and out it goes. So almost 19 minutes gone this third term. 2019 Bupa TSL Grand Final. Third time in as many years these two teams have locked horns in the last Saturday in September. So the ball to come in. Lee just paddled with two hands. First on the scene was Baker. He's crashed into from both sides. It'll be a ball up. So good crowd in. Crowd heavily favouring Lauderdale as Bannister tried to burst away from the stoppage. Just short of McCulloch. Comes to Edmonds, fires out a handball. Anderton there first. McCulloch gets it from ground level, fires it out again. Bannister sees it over. 20 minutes gone here. And we have a real arm wrestle, Chris Rowbottom.
Yeah, currently locked in. The North Launceston forward 50.
This is, as we mentioned, where you got to be careful. North on his mids. Taylor got goal side again there. Nearly got it on the end of it. They're very dangerous at forward 50 stoppages. It's a big score source for them.
Looks like we'll have another stoppage here too, as it just gets trapped in this left forward pocket for North Launceston, who hold a 9-7-61 to 7-5-47 advantage. Flying shot on goal out of the stoppage.
It's out the full.
No score registered, so Lauderdale to take possession of the footy here. The cheers. It's an early goal to Collingwood in the AFL prelim. One straight 6 to GWS, one behind early stages. If you are, of course, joining us instead of watching the AFL, which I'm sure many, many footy fans are. Big fly at half back. Good mark taken by Martin, who gets things moving up towards the wing, kicks to a 2-on-1, front position, was unable to take the muck. Saunders went on through, big tackle laid on Mansell. Gilby's in there, haven't called his name a hell of a lot this afternoon.
Gilby's got a lift. He's one of those experienced players for Lauderdale they need more from. Siggins took it on, was tackled. Saunders piles on illegally. So Cox Goodyear, he'll play on from this. He always does that little trick. There's the marker burn off. He hasn't this time. Kicks long towards 50. McCulloch, the target, it gets out the back, bounces over. So Lauderdale can just weather the storm here. As the crowd get into a few patrons that have been told to exit the venue. Ball comes in. Ruckman go at it. McCulloch forces it out the back. Matt McGuinness there. Should negotiate this one. Swung in a tackle. Stayed in play. It's 9-7-61, 7-5-47. Hit out, down from Smith, and straight out of play. So, the scrappy period, this.
Yeah, it certainly is. Tight and congested and stoppage-based game. Lauderdale struggling to get it out of North Launceston's forward half. As it comes in again, tumbling ball at the back of the pack. Who else but Cox Goodyear around the body missing. So another flying shot on goal. Sees North Launceston move to 9-8-62. Lauderdale 7-5-47. Low scoring grand final thus far. Tight at the moment. Tense. Lauderdale footy here. They clear defensive 50. Baker gets underneath it. Nearly reels in a wonderful mark. Had Donnelly for company. In fact, a free kick was paid. He was held on to. So they finally get out. Lauderdale, they have it at right half back through Baker. He goes beyond a wing. Fly came from the side, but McGuinness just went the fist in the end.
I think Lauderdale will be pretty content with this field position and also pretty content to shut the game down a little bit for the next couple minutes and try and get to three-quarter time, with this margin where it is, and then get that breeze behind their back and see what they can do.
Well, here is Gilby bursting through the stoppage. He sends Lauderdale inside 50. There was a man that was just shoved off the footy. It was McGuinness, but umpire said it was all legal.
Just can't get into the game up there, Ben McGuinness.
Rick DeSalta has it for North Launceston. He kicks looking for Lee on the wing. It was beautifully loaded by Siggins, who dropped it off to McManus. I've liked his game today. He got it over to Gilby, who had to wait and gather the footy and just ride the tackle. He did so well, and he holds it up. Locks the footy in. It's between wing and half forward. Got a blood rule here.
One thing that Lauderdale have done before with Benny McGuinness when he hasn't had much impact, they've chucked him into the ruck for 3 or 4 minutes. Whether it's something they try, whether they want to try and inject him in the game, but you know, he needs to probably get his hands on the ball a little bit more and have a little bit more presence because he's really important for him.
So Nick Butler tosses it up and Sutton gets on the end of it, sends Lauderdale high inside 50, shallow entry. The fist came from Simpson.
With a pace.
They're on the end of it here through Davies. Now Foon has it in the middle of the ground. He burns off a tackler. He says, I'm going to take a bounce. And he does exactly that. Releases Wadley. Scrubby ball to half forward. Bannister will be good enough to gather. He'll break the Anderton tackle. He'll set sail. He'll set sail and goal. Bannister goes bang.
That really hurts you, that red time goal, when you've had the ball in your area. There's some really great defensive efforts from Lauderdale there. Alex Heavey's chase, but classy finish from Dakota.
Jay Foon took it on, didn't he? And he nearly ran out of time. The first effort from Sutton was terrific, and then Heavey, so you can't question Lauderdale's effort, but they were just brought undone by really good play there, really. Foon first of all, and then Bannister. That's a classy finish.
Too big, too strong for Anderton.
I think they've looks like Connie Young's been in the hands of the trainers there. I'm not sure if Aussie's got anything for us.
Yeah, it looked like a dislocated finger for Connie Young, just being looked at the moment. Looks like it went back into place without issue.
Thanks, Aussie. You've got some people right there cheering loudly with you as Franklin is claimed in a tackle. They look to burst forward. Lorlau. The goal here would be rolled gold for Lorlau. Smith brings it down for the runners. Soccering out of there was Jay Foon out onto the wing. Trupp up against Rushton. The big man and the small man collide. Good tackle from Big Trupp. He's been pretty good today. McCulloch hasn't really had a sniff.
He's been excellent.
The ball to be brought back in, courtesy of the boundary umpire. Lee and Smith, considering his injury, he's been terrific as well, Lee. Ponting breezes by a couple. Oh, the bounce brought him unstuck. Coming through is Baker. Umpire not rewarding.
Well,
watch the replay.
We've seen some interesting decisions today, boys, but that's probably the most interesting of the lot.
He did fire at the handball.
Well,
I had the benefit of a replay, in fairness, as it came from Siggins to Bellchambers. Arches the back, goes in board, takes a bounce, gets it off for Siggins. Siggins screws one into the middle. The bounce does Sutton in, falls for Burge. Burge inside forward 50. Karanua. He needs to step up here, Henry Karanua.
Big time. Big moment. This is what he does. He kicks goals.
Siren looming. Henry Karanua. Gone for the run-up of Shoal Bakhtar. A long way back. Crosses the paint of 50, Henry Karanua on the big stage. Lorlau need him now. 35 out. Sends it through the middle, right on the siren. And Lorlau are still in this game. They will not die.
yeah, that's massive. Absolutely massive. We thought the Bannister goal was going to send Lauderdale in with that 21-point deficit to overcome, but Karanua goals right on the buzzer to cut it back down to 15. So game on in this grand final going into the final term. You'd think still, if you're framing a market, North Launceston short odds, but who knows?
They've led for most of the day, so you'd be brave to back against them.
But the other question, I suppose, is
who has the legs?
Well, the legs, and Lauderdale finish with the breeze with only 2.5 goals to make up. So it's doable.
It's very doable.
And the good thing is, you know, you've had a look at how North Lonnie operate against the breeze, especially defensively, so they can, you know, Brownie and Windy down there, they can make their adjustments and know what's going to happen, and just fill their players full of confidence. You know, they're here. You know, it's their chance. They're right in the ball game. They've got momentum. You know, they're feeling good about themselves in that huddle now. So, you know, they've just got to keep doing what they're doing, keep preaching that message of positivity. But on the flip side, you know, North Lonnie, it's, hey, you know, we're professionals. We know what we're doing here. Let's keep doing what we're doing. Our methods work. It's worked for 6 years.
Yep.
So it's going to work for another half an hour.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with your summation there, Bomb. It's set up for a cracker, though, it must be said. Lauderdale have had a couple so far this season in finals. They just got over the top of the Glenorchy in the first final. Of course, they went up to the northern end of town and got done by North Launceston, but then they came back down here and did the business in exciting fashion against Launceston. So maybe we're set up for another one of those absolute nail-biters.
Well, the final address of the season is about to get underway, if it hasn't already, from Darren Winter to his troops. You just wonder what sort of words he'll have, I suppose, at three-quarter time on grand final day. 15-point margin. It's all set up if they're going to come back with the wind at their backs on a ground that they're familiar with, in a similar situation to what they were in the previous couple of finals, as you mentioned, Gilly. Very, very interestingly placed. But gee, you put it well, Bomb. North Launceston, they're pros. They're absolute pros. 5 flags in 6 years on the line for them. The dominant team in the competition. Cox Goodyear, Whitford, Jack Event, Jay Foon. They've been here so many times, and this would just be another. This is a Tuesday for them, isn't it?
Yeah.
Three-quarter time and grand final day.
Tuesday.
This is a
I don't
Tuesday
mind
arvo.
And they're like we said, they're like that shark. They smell the blood in the water. They know the moments. Cox Goodyear will go forward when he sees something, or they'll get them all in around the football, and for Lauderdale as well, yes, you will play on the emotion of it, and that because it's a grand final, you're here, you're giving yourselves a chance, but also got to remain level-headed, calm, stick to the process, as boring as that is and as cliched as it is. It's what's got them there. It's what's given them the opportunity.
An area where they've been dominant is clearances. Josh Ponting's been central to that. 27 clearances to 19 as it stands at three-quarter time. Inside 50, 36 to 30. So Lauderdale have done pretty well in that department. Bryce Walsh was a bit quieter in that term, but still had 5 touches, 24 touches as it stands. Sam Siggins and Nat Franklin 11 and 10 apiece. So Franklin's one in particular they could use a lift from. Josh Ponting with 22 touches.
Yep.
Cox Goodyear 19 and Jay Foon with 13. Some of the key players.
Yeah, I think Josh Ponting probably emerged as the best player on the ground in that quarter. His clearance work, as you mentioned, I don't know how he does it, but he seems to have so much time in the middle of the ground at the centre bounce, and he just seems to be able to read the ball off the hand better than anybody in the game just about. So 22 disposals, and I'm not sure how many clearances. He'd have 6 or 7 at least, I would have thought, Josh Ponting, and that's not counting the ones around the ground too. So he's been really, really good. Bryce Walsh, as I mentioned, has been really, really big for Lauderdale, and gee, it's all set up, isn't it, for a grandstand finish. Only 2 goals in it, but probably cancelled out by that breeze, and fascinated to see what both teams do. I sense Lauderdale will just throw everything at it in terms of all-out attack. There's no point being conservative at this time in a grand final. I think Anthony Osborne has some words from down on the boundary.
You're tossing the grass down there, Anthony.
Yeah, put the socks up, toss the grass, bit of a Matthew Lloyd there, Gilly. But just heard from both of the groups, North Launceston really, Taylor Whitford just drilling into his team that this win is not just going to happen. They're going to have to keep on taking risks and really try and hit the scoreboard in this last quarter. For Lauderdale, Darren Winter really signalled out Mitch Anderton, praised his defensive efforts throughout the day, but also praised Hayden Smith and said that this is Hayden Smith's time to stamp himself on this contest. So both teams pretty confident. I think we should be in for an entertaining finish. The breeze definitely favouring the river end of the ground, but Taylor Whitford very confident that his side is going to have to hit the scoreboard if they're going to win this game.
Interesting point that Aussie raises there about the Smith versus Lee battle. Lee obviously coming in underdone. He's got the big mattress on the leg, as we pointed out. How does he fare in this final term where he's going to need to push probably beyond his limits to go head-to-head with Hayden Smith?
Yeah, it's been fantastic, Alex Lee. I think, if he didn't have the mattress on his leg, we potentially wouldn't know there's anything wrong with him.
Yeah.
He's been really good. So, yeah, coming into that fourth quarter now, that last half hour, they've really got to ask him some questions, whether that's Siggins going in there and pushing hard forward on him and making him run to defend. You just got to move him around the ground, because if he's carrying a niggle, make him change directions and just keep grinding away at him.
So the players moving back out to their positions as the fans and the coaches make their way back into the stands, and there's not much that the coaches can really do now, is there, with a quarter to go. Maybe a couple of minor adjustments in the early stages, but once it hits about the 10 or 12 minute mark in the final term, it's all up to the players, isn't it?
Yeah, you've got to put your trust in the group, and I think that's 2 groups here. As a coach, you do have trust in your plans, and they're the guys that have got to do it. And at the end of the day, we can move some magnets around as coaches, but we're really glorified cheerleaders. We just sit behind some glass and get to talk to the players in the break. So trust in the guys to get the job done for you.
So prime movers on ball. Whitford, Cox Goodyear, Ponting up against Walsh, Franklin, Bell Chambers, Smith and Lee in there, Sutton and Heavey on the wings, Davies and Simpson.
Just quickly, if you're after a score in the Old Scholars, Dosa has won the big dance there, 104-56 over Richmond. So convincing winners, the Roosters, in the Old Scholars grand final.
I think this one's going to go deep, boys.
Just probably important with those numbers of Ponting. They put a little bit of time into him. He really holds as a sweeper at centre bounces. That's where he gets a lot of his ball, and it looks like Nat Franklin's going to him here.
And we're underway in the last quarter of the last game of the season. Cox Goodyear somehow gets a kick away, manufactures something, but it's to kick to no one in particular. Umpire with a decision to make, and he says throw it in.
I know we keep saying it, and we've said it 68 times today, but next goal huge.
Yeah, I think
Massive.
almost every goal we've said that, haven't we?
Yep.
But you're right, as the ball comes in, Lee over the back. Cox Goodyear with separation, tracked down by Bellchambers, off for Bannister. Bannister inside forward 50. Callow, hands to it, couldn't complete the grab. Sniffing around the footy is Egger. Tries to get away from McGuinness, he's gone. Pay it, umpire, and he does.
Got him going in the third quarter, Josh, with that smother, and there with that tackle on Sharon Egger there. So, you know, hope maybe he's the fire starter for Lauderdale.
Just backed his leg speed there, Egger. Ran into a mighty fine player, and Josh McGuinness brings him out of defence. Looking for Smith. Franklin now tries to shake off Lee. Walsh crunched in a tackle, squeezed out off the hands of Heavey, and it'll be a stoppage.
Whitford and Walsh standing each other here at the stoppage. That's tantalising in this last term. Franklin and Ponting, Cox Goodyear and Bellchambers as the rucks go at it. Smith palms it down, Ponting onto it. Another clearance from him. He got it off to Lee. He released Cox Goodyear, who's going to stroll all the way to 50. Kicks inside, opted against having a shot, rushed in at the fall of the footy. He just paddles it to his advantage, handballs to nobody in particular. He's got Simpson for company if he wants him. Decided to go inboard. It was a little ambitious. Edmonds comes in and wraps up Trupp in the big tackle.
Couple of instances there in those stoppages. You know, we talked about the North Lonnie mids getting on the move. You know, they've got to have those bumper bars on the Lauderdale guys and push them away from the dangerous space.
So up she goes, half forward for North Launceston, down to Cox Goodyear again. A couple of early touches for him in this final term. He's been pinged holding the ball. Initially thought it might have been high.
Jeez, that's a poor handball from Smith.
Smith put his teammate right under the pump. That could be a crucial moment. It falls out to Cox Goodyear, who goes again. He's had his head ripped off.
He's done for a throw.
Well, now this time he's been done for a throw, so he's probably been a little stiff on two occasions. But Lauderdale, wow, they get out of jail in a big way.
Not the greatest handball, but a couple really good defensive efforts from Hayden Smith. You know, his coach asked for a lift from him at three-quarter time, and a couple really big bone-crunching tackles there.
So McGuinness goes wide in the arms of McManus now. He'll kick Lauderdale beyond a wing on the outer side. But he's able to take the mark. It gets over the back eventually. Ooh, a big tackle from Walsh, who's just been in everything today.
Been tremendous, hasn't he?
He's just imposed himself on the contest. He wills himself. He's a strong, physical, intimidating type player, and certainly had an impact today as it comes in once more. Ponting's there, but Lauderdale will emerge with it through Baker, who tries to get it off to Walsh. He kicks it inside the middle of the ground. Wonderful spinning move to get it off to Trupp. Chance now for Lauderdale as they go forward. Kieran Ewers, a genius. He taps it on to McGuinness. He couldn't quite gather it cleanly going through. Mansell with work to do. They work it out through hands now. North Launceston in the arms of Event, who kicks out beyond defensive 50, but it's out on the full Lauderdale ball.
We've seen a couple of times on those forward 50 entries, North Lonnie's defenders are really proactive and take front position. I think probably with this breeze and the nature of the game, you know, you'd like to see the Lauderdale forwards get in front and have that as their starting point in front, first to move and control their defender.
So Baker from just outside 50 sends it long to the numbers over everyone's head and bounces out for a throw-in, so it'll be deep inside forward 50 for Lauderdale. They need the first of the last, you sense. If there any hope. North Lonnie have had a stranglehold over this day and this competition for a long time now. It falls out the back. There's a whistle. Which way is it going? It's going Lauderdale's way. That is a big moment. Ben McGuinness. We'll get a replay when we can. There's Jay Foon. Ben McGuinness hasn't really been in the game. Doesn't often, well, let's just say set shot goal kicking is a mixed bag when it comes to Ben McGuinness. If he kicks the first one, he usually will run on and kick a couple. Comes on in. off the left boot, through the middle. The double Cobras go up, and Lauderdale sense something here.
And really important for Ben, you know, we've talked about that we'd like to see him impact on the game a bit more. He took his moment. Like, you know, that old cliche, it might not be your day, but it might be your moment. And, you know, they needed a goal. They needed him to impose himself on the game, and he stepped up when they needed him. So really good to see that from Ben.
It's 9 points, boys. 10-8-68 North Launceston, 9-5-59 Lauderdale. They haven't really been within 2 goals all day. All of a sudden, it's 9 points, wins at their back. First goal of this final term. We are in for an absolute rip schnorter to finish off the TSL season as Bomber v Bomber gets underway once again. Lee, he's been massive today with the injured leg. Tries to rip it out of the middle. Lauderdale will go forward again here. Donnelly couldn't take the mark cleanly. One-on-one battle at half forward. Shoveled out by McGuinness. Will go over the boundary line for a throw-in. And this is where Lauderdale start to get their tails up, where they string a couple together, the crowd gets involved, and their big players come to the fore. And here's one of them in Walsh. He's got Cox Goodyear for company. Nice bit of work there from Curran, who pounced on the loose footy. He gets North Launceston moving. The ball holds up in the wind. Tepper does battle with Anderton. The helmeted Anderton won the day. Fed it off to Sutton, who just needs it to sit up. He couldn't gather it cleanly, and it eludes him over the boundary. That's a big, big moment, because Sutton could have got it and gone.
Looks at that last stoppage, and at this stoppage again, Nick Baker's gone to Ponting, so it looks like he's going to put a little bit of work and a bit of time into him to nullify his influence around the contest.
Yeah, not a bad call. Probably the best player on the ground thus far, Josh Ponting. What a star he is as they go forward again here. North Launceston. Egger was probably held off the contest. Umpire said play on. It's going to get out the back now to McCulloch, who's been quiet all day. Egger gets it. Egger goals. Huge moment, Sharon Egger, with the best name in footy, and just gives North Launceston some breathing space.
All comes from forward momentum out of stoppage there. That stoppage there around the centre half forward area. I think it was Dakota Bannister hitting through. Again, North Launceston's forwards dragging the Lauderdale defenders up the ground and creating that space out the back. Bart McCulloch gets a contest on it, handball up. Sharon Egger using his leg speed into that space, kicks the goal.
It's where he's really dangerous, Egger. Pretty clever by Bart McCulloch just to hand it over the top. Could have easily gone himself. So back in the middle again, as they've done all afternoon. They find the answer when Lauderdale get that bit closer. Here's Franklin, being relatively quiet. Ball blocked, gathered by Edmonds. Terrific pickup. Fires it back down the spine though. Lets in Lauderdale. Here they come through. Bellchambers kicking for Raglione. Dealt with his opponent, probably illegally. Paddled back. Here's Gilby. Hands over to himself. Hemmed in the pocket. Gilby over the top for Raglione. They keep it nestled in there. Well, you talked about players not having great days, but potentially having big moments. Gilby's another one of those. Just in this last term, needs to find something.
All he needs is half a look at it, Nick, and damage you.
So in it comes again, Smith and Lee. Down from Smith, straight for Whitford. He dives down. Converge on him. Squeeze it out through Mansell. They get some territory. So North Launceston still with a handy buffer. Really handy as the ball comes in. Doesn't get to the rucks. Heavey now sniffing around it. Loses his footing. Has McManus out the back. Slapping it inside 50. Standing there was Whitford.
So Taylor Whitford, one of many North Launceston champs. He just put it onto the bootlaces of Ryan Mansell, who didn't have time to think about it. Just kicks up towards a wing. Heavey roves the pack. He couldn't win out a clean possession. Wanted McManus, but players will converge for a stoppage right on centre wing in front of the broadcast position. 11-8, 74, 15 points the margin. North Launceston, Lauderdale 9-5, 59 as they go at it again. Smith and Lee have done
exceptional job in the ruck all day, both of them, as the handball gets fed out by Smith to Baker, who kicks Lauderdale inside 50. Well, Young went back with it, but was in two minds. He eventually ended up with the footy. He'll kick beyond defensive 50. Josh Ponting marks on his chest.
Really important juncture here of the quarter. I think this 10 minute, now we've hit 10 minutes, it's probably 10 to 18 minute mark. That's probably where North Launceston will look to put the foot down and try and go here, or Lauderdale can keep themselves in the contest. So really big 5 to 8 minutes coming up here.
We just see that ball hold up, but it matters little for Cox Goodger, who comes in and marks on his chest. He had a runner going past him, the young man in Davies, who he eventually decides to use. So Davies, a slider up the line, is good enough to Foon. Another one of these champs. In he goes. North Launceston. The ball is spiked out of bounds. So we are approaching that time, Baum, as it is 11 minutes deep. 15 points the margin.
Yeah, trouble for Lauderdale if North Launceston can score here. McCulloch down. It'll be rinse and repeat.
And this would be fine for North Launceston. Have 2 or 3, 4 repeat stoppages, suck some time, put some physical pressure on, grind away. And then the clock starts to become the enemy of Lauderdale, and then it gets hard.
So Smith flies, McCulloch stayed down, and we'll have another stoppage. Not short of noise here at Blunston Arena.
Always vocal, the Lauderdale faithful.
They're very vocal. Smith over the top, finds Anderton. He's been good. Squeezes out a kick. Sutton first to it. Can't gather. He's helped on over by having none of that. So Walsh has some choice words with Davies. At what point do you just throw a few things around and go, let's have our best look at this, Lauderdale?
Yeah, look, I think probably there's still a stage where, you know, they've got to keep doing what they're doing. They're in the game. You know, they've got their A-graders around the footy, and you got to trust those processes in. And then if, you know, North Launceston are able to kick a couple goals or put a goal on here, then you maybe start to spin the magnets and try something.
As Edmonds takes a mark just inside 50. He's kicked one already this afternoon. We'll line up. Can just about put Lauderdale away. Kicks towards the pack. Flying is Callow! The young gun! Stands up and takes a ripper. Look at that, the full extension.
That's all class. He's already a hell of a player. But imagine how good he's going to come and be with, you know, another year in the Devils system. And yeah, I think we'll be seeing him on an AFL list in the not too distant future.
Jackson Callow to make it very, very hard for Lauderdale. Comes on in for his third of the day. Puts it through. He's had a ripper. And North Launceston look on their way for yet another flag in this dynasty.
Yep, he's been huge. The difference, I would have thought, up forward. We mentioned McCulloch unable to get into the game due to a really good defensive effort from the Lauderdale back six, but in his absence, Callow's just managed to stand up. And those hands, sticky hands, Jackson Callow. He looks an absolute find. And I think you're right, Baum. We're seeing him in the big leagues sooner rather than later, I think. Looks a star.
A little bit of a different mix in here for North Lonnie. Jimmy Curran's in the midfield there. Looks like he's going with Sam Siggins.
So back out to 21 points. Lauderdale need to get moving. Huge tackle on Brad Cox-Goodger from Burge. And Cox-Goodger gets pinged once again. Gee, he's been not at his bullish self today, Cox-Goodger. He's so used to breaking through the tackles and sending North Launceston forward, but they've been all over him today.
I'll be honest, I don't think I've ever seen him caught holding the ball in my life.
No, three times today. But that's how he operates.
They've shut him down well, but they just haven't had an answer for Ponting.
such is the way with North Launceston. You cork one hole and another one springs open. As Lauderdale inside their forward 50. Smith did really well to feed it out to Kerenua. He was smashed off his kick by Event. Here go North Launceston now through the middle of Bellerive. Bannister arches his back, takes 2 bounces. He'll have a third Bannister. He'll kick long towards 50. Edmonds is in a 2-on-1. They get back. Shaw couldn't take the mark. There's a free kick paid. North Launceston will receive. And this, my friends, could be the nail.
Sheesh. There wasn't a whole lot in that.
There wasn't a lot in it at all.
Is that Oscar Shaw or Trupp for holding it?
Trupp.
No.
So Billy Edmonds, this would just about close the door on Lauderdale's premiership hopes. He kicks it. And North Launceston look home.
Yeah, it gets tough now for Lauderdale. Most important thing, they want to keep their heads. They want to keep grinding away. If you can get a quick one here out of this centre bounce, you give yourself belief that you're still in it. They don't want to drop their heads. They've played a really good game across the 3.5 quarters that we've played. They really want to play the game out.
So we are now out to 27 points. It would take 5 goals unanswered from Lauderdale in about 10 minutes of footy to win the flag. And I don't want to be a downer, but I would have thought a team of the quality of North Launceston will not allow that to happen. We are back in the middle. See if they can conjure something. North Launceston now with the tails up. Egger has the footy on centre wing. Was going towards half forward, but eventually the ball will make its way out of bounds on the full.
Starting to hurt Lauderdale a little bit outside the contest as well.
So boundary throw in, left half forward for the Northern Bombers, who have stood up to the challenges that Lauderdale have thrown at them today. And they have thrown everything at them as Walsh, who has worked so hard, gets it off to his mate in Franklin. He releases a runner. The Bombers now go up the line. Rick De Salter at the full was looking for Young. Martin came on through. And he's pinged.
Suppose he didn't dispose of it legally. That one's probably there.
Yeah, dropped the footy. So free kick for North Launceston. Off half back. High ball towards the wing. That'll be out on the full. Lauderdale footy.
So Robbie McManus to bring it back into play. Just roll the dice now, Lauderdale. McManus long towards 50. Tyler Martin with the fly! Good grab. He was picked for a reason, and that was it. Needs to go and put it back and get a move on, really.
Yeah, can't afford to go through the full normal routine here, can he? Needs to go back and slot it.
He's going through the full routine. Tyler Martin. Late inclusion last week. Kept his spot. Left footer has hit that horribly. Dragged it well wide out on the full. So North Launceston ball. And that just about draws the curtains on this game, I think. If they weren't already drawn as it comes along. Martin sets himself over the top. Good grab, Alex Hill. You wonder whether he'll go around again. Alex Hill, being a warrior for this club. Might have a couple bow out, him and the likes of Heavey as he kicks this one in board. Oh, Matt McGuinness arrived almost. Just Phil Bellchambers trying to burrow his way through.
You start to want not to completely put a line through this result, but you start to wonder what it does mentally to some of those Lauderdale guys. 3 consecutive grand final defeats, going around again for another campaign.
Yeah, it's tough. You know, they'll play their hearts out today. They've given it everything they have had, and that scarring. I think it's one thing that Paul Roos spoke about when he took over Melbourne about scoreboard scarring. You know, that comes from the past. So, yeah, it's always pretty tough to climb the mountain.
They've done such a good job to make the grand final 3 years in a row, all in slightly different fashion. And they've just run into a juggernaut. That's the trouble as Sutton farms it out. Josh McGuinness. McManus has his ball blocked, loses his footing. Simpson farms it out. Fletcher Bennett almost, now with Cox Goodyear. He pumps it onto the wing and Hayden Smith stands there and takes a grab. He can switch it up to Anderton. I've liked this youngster's game. He drives inside 50, good bit of use to find Franklin. They probably deserve to finish closer. I think the margin is unassailable at this point, but probably deserve to get closer as Franklin powers long to the square, almost for Ben McGuinness, not quite. Handed out by Event. Nicely done by Mansell.
It's going to be pretty tough for him to score.
Oh, Ponting! He's been
fantastic.
Heroic today, been a colossus in the middle.
You see pretty much all the numbers in one half of the ground. So if Lauderdale do manage to turn this over, you know, it's going to be pretty hard to pick their way through that massive bodies.
Farming out Event. There's Egger, shakes off one, looking for Edmonds. He's had a handy afternoon, paddling towards the line. He'll get valuable territory and soak the clock some more.
So 21 minutes and change gone in the fourth term of the grand final. North Launceston 13-8-86. Lauderdale 9-5-59. 27 points to the good North Launceston. Hunting their fifth flag in 6 years. Got an umpire down on centre wing. Not sure what's happened there.
Geeson.
It is Geese.
Oh, here we go. Sorry, Anthony, had you on low.
Yeah, no, just accidental contact there from Jack Event with Nathan Gayson. Nothing nothing malicious in it, just an accidental bump.
Just a $2,000 fine for Jack Event. So up it goes. This time it's Nick Butler, the umpire, as Lee wins it down. Ponting's there again. There's two of him out there today, I'm convinced. As they lock it in, and it gets to this time in a grand final where just maybe you start to think we might be home here, boys.
In recent years, they've been able to celebrate a little earlier.
They have. So just paddled forward now. Walsh has been a warrior for Lauderdale today. Gets it out to Siggins, who's had a great year also, but only as far as Foon. Foon's got a man on in the middle of the ground. He goes in that direction. Ben Simpson's a good user. Gets into the forward 50. Roved by Cox Goodyear. This would be the icing. Cox Goodyear around the body. Minus score. 28 points the margin. 22 minutes gone, almost 23 in this final term.
He causes the absolute nightmares when he pushes himself forward because he's so good in the air on the ground.
Eddie Trupp goes bang up the middle of the ground for Lauderdale as they just attempt to throw everything into this last few minutes. That was interesting from Whitford. He wanted a free kick for high. He said no, did the umpire, as they emerged with it again. Cox Goodyear was slick. Gives it off to Foon. Handball now to Wadley. He kicks in the Callow direction. He won't quite get there. Almost trapped it on the bounce. He's got Tepper for company if he can work up the handball. He had another teammate on the side as well, but the kick came in and it's chopped off in defence.
Now, he probably won't feature in the votes, but Nick Baker, terrific today. He clamped down Cox Goodyear for most of the game and been pretty good himself as Cox Goodyear now rides a tackle from McManus and he cops one high. So one back for Cox Goodyear. You know, Baker been fantastic.
Yeah, super talent, Nick Baker, and you know he'll be one of the stars and the good players of the TSL for the next decade, hopefully.
So middle of the ground now. Event goes inside looking for Callow again. Again tries to just trap it. Eventually does. Paddles it. Gains possession. Gives off a handball. Kick inside is good. This time it's Rushton. So Rushton, as we tick along towards red time to extend the margin to 34, which, as you said, Gilly, isn't quite befitting, I think, of the effort Lauderdale's put in today. seem to be a little bit better than 6 goals, but let's see if Rushton can finish the job for North Launceston. He misses to the near side, so that margin remains at 29 points.
Taylor Whitford. Sorry, Anthony,
So
what do you got for us?
Yeah, guys, Taylor Whitford ran off the field and actually came up onto the concourse here just to get an overlook of everything. I thought he was going to go up to the coach's box for a second. Back down on the field now, but just taking it all in.
Yeah, interesting.
That was bizarre. That caught my eye.
Taylor Whitford up onto the concourse off the field of play. Interesting stuff as Donnelly goes forward for North Launceston. It's going to be all wrapped up at half forward. No, umpire allows things to continue as Bell Chambers wrenches it out and gives it to the run of Sutton. He gets Lauderdale inside 50 as he was dragged off his kick by Callow, who was a long way from home. Foon just tries to paddle it forward. Can Raglione kick a third? Bombers will emerge with it once again. Here's Ponting, who didn't quite take the mark but took it on the half volley. He was wrapped up in a tackle. As we get into the dying embers of 2019 GF, Damien Gill.
So just waiting the celebrations now, gents. North Launceston, as vulnerable as they've been in recent years, stand tall on the big stage. They've taken everything Lauderdale could throw at them. Here's Cox Goodyear, spills it out. Bryce Walsh drives long. Ben McGuinness with the fly, brings it to the floor. Trapp down there, becoming Crummer. He just burrows on in. Trapp. He's caught high, so we'll have a look at the sticks. He kicked one earlier on. It was a really nice finish. This would be a big ask.
Sort of like the goalkeeper going down into the
into
the box
for the corner.
For the corner in the dying stages.
There's a bit of that about it.
He has emerged with the footy here.
So Edward Trapp hemmed in against the boundary, sends it on its way. It's across the face. Ben McGuinness tries for a late highlight. I'm not sure how that wasn't a free kick. Sorry.
Rain just starting to fall down here as well, guys, so the post-match celebrations could be in the wet.
I'm not sure that'll rain on North Launceston's parade, however. They're going to celebrate this one long and hard into the night. Bus trip back will be boisterous as the siren sounds. History for North Launceston. This rich dynasty continues. 5 premierships in 6 years. They are an amazing football club and they just keep getting it done in September.
Wow, that's all I can say. Wow, North Launceston, once again, we kept on saying that they were ripe for the picking. We kept on saying they were vulnerable. We kept on saying that Lauderdale had their best chance in years. At the end of the day, the cream rises. And it was 29 points the margin. They just ended up bullying Lauderdale in the end. Too good, too big, too strong, too fast, too classy.
All of the above.
All of the above.
You can't do anything but give them the utmost respect. You know, they're the best in the business. That's who we're all chasing. It's who we want to be. You know, yes, their record of success is unparalleled. You can't. They're the best team of the the modern era in the TSL, or since the TSL's come back in the early 2000s. Yeah, nothing but respect to them.
They might just be the best club that State League football in Tasmania's ever seen. 5 flags in 6 years, and Brad Cox Goodyear, Taylor Whitford and Jack Event get their 4th.
Yeah, amazing, isn't it? Absolutely amazing. They're just such a darn good football club. You run out of superlatives to describe them, because each and every year you pose a new question and see whether they've got what it takes to answer them. And this year they lost a whole host of premiership names out of their team, and they found a way to replace them and continue their run on top. They're amazing. They are amazing.
Yep, it almost sounds silly, the praise that we're heaping on them now, but 5 flags in 6 years is just something special. You don't see that anywhere in Australia. You don't see that in sport, 5 in 6. But this club is just something special, and for Taylor Whitford to take the reins this year and to lose that
Premiership 9 from last year and take the team to another flag using D-League players and a couple of other recruits. Just unbelievable. Full credit to Lauderdale, of course, the 3rd straight grand final appearance for the Southern Bombers, but geez, they just, I don't know how they come to terms with the fact that North Launceston exists in this competition.
They've just
because they just can't get
just
over
the wrong
the top
era,
of them.
isn't it?
Any other era, they would be the best team going around, but they have happened to land in the same era as the most dominant force in Tasmanian football history. You've got to feel for them a little bit. And at the end of the day, as I said, still 29 points. Last year it was 30, and I felt like they were so much closer this year. But
oh, yeah, they were.
Such is the dominance of North Launceston, they just make it look easy.
The thing is, they got to, 9 points in the last quarter?
Yeah.
And they just found the answers every time they needed them,
And
North Launceston. And it was their guns. Their guns step up when they need them every time. Led amazingly well today by Josh Ponting. He was outstanding. And you've got someone for us down there, Anthony Osborne.
Yeah, very happy man down here, guys. I'm joined by playing coach Taylor Whitford. Congratulations, mate. Another premiership. How does this feel?
Oh, it's a culmination of 10 months of hard work. It comes down to one day, and you can't control it really. And as a playing coach, you've got a little bit more control than a non-playing coach, but it's just relief. It's just relief.
A lot's been made of the different team you've got this year. The young guys like Jackson Callow really stood up today.
Oh, mate, he's going to be a superstar. You know, he's got to improve on his running capacity and all that, but he's going to be a superstar. He won't be here much longer.
Lauderdale threw everything at you today. They were really competitive. How do the boys to get in a game like that?
It's it was a different one in the last couple of years, wasn't it? It was a seesawing affair, and we knew we had to score in that last quarter. If we battened down the hatches, we weren't going to win the game. And I actually think that last quarter was the best quarter of footy we've played. Not this year, but during the game, I thought we took it on and really showed that we were the fitter group, I thought.
Well, congratulations, mate. Enjoy it.
Yeah.
Thanks, Anthony. And a very proud coach down there, and deservedly so.
Yeah, Taylor Whitford himself, he's one of those 3 I mentioned that now have been a part of all the flags. His trophy cabinet would be very full, and what a champion he is, Taylor Whitford, and to take the reins of the team as the playing coach and to guide them again. I remember Zane Littlejohn and Tom Catch both saying that he's an unbelievable leader, Taylor Whitford, and probably doesn't come across as it, like to the outside of the group, but internally he's rated incredibly highly, and gee, you can see why. As you see the Lauderdale boys just...
They were pretty devastated.
Yeah.
Eddie Trupp, I'm led to believe he probably won't be back at the club next year, so that's probably his last game of football for the Lauderdale Football Club, and devastating circumstances to bow out, and after such a great year as well. For so much of the season, Lauderdale looked the team to beat, but North Launceston, they always time their run. They always time their run. And as you said before, cream rises to the top, and their cream is just irresistible, to be honest.
Truly professional organisation and team, and there's just clearly no complacency. You know, they're not happy with 1 or 2, you know.
Yeah.
5.
And I want to get your perspective as a fellow coach in the TSL with a young group coming through. You look at North Launceston and you think, is there any point going around next year? Because it doesn't matter what they have at their disposal, they are just always at the pointy end.
Well, the one thing that North Launceston give the rest of us is they give us a template for how to go about it, and a template for what to aspire to, that what we've got to get at. So, you know, you can use that to drive your pre-season, and, you know, we take a lot of, for us as a footy club at Kingston, you know, we take a lot of credence away from beating North Lonnie this year. But like that's a big time win. You know, as you can see, there's no complacency with them. They don't take any opposition lightly. And, you know, they're the best in the business. And, you know, we're all we're chasing them and trying to be like them. And, you know, full credit to them.
A few stats just quickly. Clearances in the end, North Launceston 38-29, so dominant in the last term. They had 11 clearances in that last quarter. Inside 50s, 47-41. Bryce Walsh, 29 touches. Josh Ponting, 28 touches. So they're probably 2 of your most prime movers. Cox Goodyear, we said he was quiet for a lot of it. Still ended up with 26 touches. Jay Foon with 19 as well. So fantastic.
And a couple of clues there as to who might be named the best player on the ground and the Baldock medalist for 2019. I thought Josh Ponting was absolutely magnificent today.
I'd be surprised if his name hasn't featured prominently in the voting. As we prepare for presentations down there.
There's a big North Launceston contingent, isn't there, that have just made their way to Hobart, which is fantastic to see. Of course, lots of friends and family, and of course the Development League boys. So they've done the double today, North Launceston, which again, you add another layer on top of the dominance of this club, and maybe they might fall away next year, but the year after that, when the D-League boys are playing senior footy and winning flags, and it all starts again, doesn't it? So,
and you hear murmurs and rumours of players coming back.
That's right, absolutely. Yep, the Hillwood 3.
Yes, the Hillwood
Pierce,
3.
Burton, Bennett, who knows what they might do.
Walsh, the other one.
Yeah, they come back, just another off season of staring at the ceiling and not getting to sleep at night. They're working out how to, add them to this group, and if they don't lose anyone, I think maybe a Ryan Mansell might go and have a crack in another state league. If he doesn't get drafted, obviously he is in that frame as a top ager, so I don't think they're going to lose too many. So if you had those blokes back in, gee whiz.
Time now for the presentation after what was a wonderful grand final between Lauderdale and North Launceston. Congratulations to the Northern Bombers for their 5th premiership in 6 years. And congratulations also to Lauderdale for a wonderful season. And nobody could question your commitment or effort today. So Lauderdale, congratulations. I'd like to invite the captain, Bryce Walsh, to come forward and say a few words. Bryce. I know it doesn't get any easier, mate, but we appreciate you saying a few words. Bryce Walsh.
Yeah, Colin, you took the words out of my mouth. It's not any easier coming up here for the last 3 years and having to speak on it, but, credit to North Launceston. You've obviously got a very, very good football department, football program for your reserves, winning the premiership, and you guys, going for, is it 5 now? So obviously credit to you guys. You've looked after your juniors and you've got a good program. So well done to you guys. Enjoy it. To our boys, just keep your heads up. I'll try not to swear. It's bloody hard, but we'll just stay together. Thanks to all our supporters and fans for everything they've put in this year for us, and we'll bounce back. We won't give up. So thank you. I hope you enjoy your night, guys. Well done.
Well done, well said, Bryce.
Yeah,
congratulations.
You could tell that was hard.
Time now for the Best of Field, the Baldock medal. I'd invite Carl Saunders from the TSL to come forward to present the Baldock medal to the player judge Best of Field, Josh Ponting.
No surprises there, gents.
No, he was magnificent today. He led all comers, I think, in disposals, and his clearance work was something to behold also. And that was Baldock. Yeah,
across the 4 quarters.
Yeah,
if he gets the mic here, watch out.
Just like to say thanks to all our supporters for coming out. It was a good game of footy, I think. To Lauderdale, thanks for bringing it to us. That was probably the toughest grand final I've played in. Credit to you blokes. You brought the fight today. To our boys, well done, boys. We got her again.
He's
surprisingly tame.
He's a country
I'd
lad.
like to invite James Kazali, who's the great-great-grandson of Roy Kazali, to come forward and present the Kazali medal. And this is to the winning coach, Taylor Whitford.
Favourite son of the North Launceston Football Club. He knows what this day's all about. How many flags now is that?
For
4
Whitford.
or 5, I think, isn't it?
I think it's all 5 for Whitford, isn't it?
Amazing.
Kazali medal to Taylor. A few words, Taylor?
Yeah, I can do. Reflecting on it just shortly there, that's probably the toughest grand final we've played in over the 5 or 6 years, and Lauderdale Football Club threw everything at us today, and it says a lot about you as a football club to continually keep coming back. Okay, so credit to you guys, and thank you very much for the performance that you put out today, and it says a lot about our group, 22 collective. No one believed. Here we are.
Well, there you go.
Thank you, Taylor. Time now for the presentation of medals to the players. We'll start with number 3, who was just here, Taylor Whitford, to come forward and collect a premiership medal now, Taylor.
Just collecting medals for fun.
Yep. So
as the coach,
we need to build an extension onto that trophy cabinet at home. Number 5 to go with the Kazali medal, of course, for the winning.
Number 4,
winning
Jordan
coach.
Tepper.
Tepper, good inclusion this year in the absence of Mark Walsh. He's straight into the midfield. Good depth midfielder who gets himself a premiership medallion on grand final day.
Number 5, Dakota Bannister.
He kicked a couple of really nice goals today.
He was good.
Yeah, had some crucial moments when they needed it. He stood up and hit the scoreboard.
Number 7, Josh Ponting.
Well, yeah, we've waxed lyrical about him. How much can you say? He's had another really impressive season.
Number 8, Ben Simpson.
He's actually, might be his third flag, Ben Simpson.
Yeah.
Young boy. He's just...
one of the unheralded ones,
yeah.
Isn't he? Yep. The 3 flags. And
Number 9, 18, Connor Young.
Connor Young, good defender. Another good season from him. Again, unheralded, but year in, year out.
Number 12, Bart McCulloch.
Well, did Bart stay today, I don't reckon. I thought Trupp had the points there, but provided a presence, and he gets the number 1 matchup, which is why Callow played so well.
Exactly.
Questionable
Number
celebration.
13, Liam Davies.
He's been a great addition to their footy club. Come over from Ulverston, I think, played in a losing NWFL grand final last year against Burnie.
Number 14,
yeah, he's been really good on the outside on the wing for him.
Yeah, Rick DeSolda's been a mainstay, hasn't he, for a few years now down in defence. And
heartbreak last year, though.
That's
of course,
right.
missed the grand final.
Yep.
Number 15, Jack Event.
Well, he's 5 as well.
Yeah, he's in the famous 5 club.
The Fab 5.
Number
Fab 5.
17, Thomas Dinelli.
I think he's butchered the pronunciation there. And they're trying to work out who we're talking about.
Number 17, Donnelly.
Donnelly.
Yeah, he just makes his way through. Again, he was in the team last year and just does a job like
swing man.
Just these guys that are
Number 18, Ryan Mansell.
Ryan Mansell, we suspect he'll go over and play some footy in South Australia.
Yeah,
Bob.
I think a Sandful I've heard. But yeah, a great year, bit of Devils footy. Obviously, as an overager. And
Number 20,
another flag
Carlton
for
Wadley.
Carlton Wadley, I think this is his 3rd.
Yeah, he's played in a couple now. Yep.
He's done really well. Again, one of those players that doesn't get
Number
a mention
21,
too
Sharon
often.
Egger.
Sharon Egger, love this guy. Look at the hair on him. Look at the boots.
He's quick, isn't he?
And he kicked
the green and the
green and red boots. He's got the haircut.
Number
He's kicked a
22,
crucial
Jack
goal as
Rushton.
Well. Another rude lid here. Jack Rushton. He gets up on the dais and gets a medal. He won't chair though.
Number 25, Jackson Callow.
He was superb today. I'm sure he featured in the votes.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll get the full rundown at some point, but terrific. Presented up so well and finished off
Number
with a couple of
26,
goals.
Jay Foon.
He's got bigger fish to fry, Jackson Callow. Jay Foon, of course, he had heartbreak too last year with that neck injury. Couldn't get it up in time and back into the setup.
Number 30, Alex
Such
Lee.
a quality player.
What about Alex Lee playing out the game after lots of talk around? Look at that right leg. He's got the...
he looks sore, doesn't he?
He's got the trackies on almost, but...
Number 35, Fletcher Bennett.
Real effort.
He's actually hobbling along. He was heroic, really, when you think about it, Alex Lee. Fletcher Bennett stuck in the mud.
I thought he's cramped up.
So Fletcher Bennett collects his medal. But yeah, Alex
Number
Lee,
36, James Curran.
Yeah, huge. James Curran came into the side for the injured Van Buren.
Yep, he's just his first time for a flag.
Number 63, William Edmonds.
He was good today, Edmonds.
Oh, he's been good all final series.
Did some good things. Yeah, he kicked his 2 and at a crucial stage too. He kicked his 2 when Lauderdale
The
were
captain,
really coming.
number 1, Brad Cox Goodyear.
Jet.
Grew into the game,
That's all
didn't
I've
he?
got to say.
You said it all when you said it then.
Yeah.
Guns, absolute guns. He's just grabbed
First of
the
all,
mic.
Lauderdale should be very proud of your performance today and your season you've had. That grand final was up there, one of the better ones I've ever been a part of and seen at state league level, so congratulations on the year. Thanks for everyone coming out and supporting the TSL. As you can see, it's a very good product and we need to really support it. To our boys, 5-time, eh? 5-time.
Bit of Booker T there.
Yeah.
Bit of
Would
5-time.
you like to come back onto the stage?
5-time day.
Brett Young, North Launceston Football Club legend, to come forward and present the cup to the
like
winning
this
team,
touch.
the North Launceston Football Club Premiers for 2019.
The club legend, Brett Young, handing it over. It was an initiative last year for the first time. I think it's a rip-up.
There's a couple of names there, Young and Whitford, the North Launceston names, and there it is as they hoist the cup, number 5. What a dynasty it's been. The Bombers once again. Lauderdale trudge off the vanquished for the 3rd year running. North Launceston, they're going to run out of fingers. 5 flags, unheard of.
What a football club, what an organisation, what a grand final. It was a ripper. The scoreline doesn't really paint the picture of the contest.
No, it doesn't at all. 29 points. They were better than 5 goals, Lauderdale. They really were.
Well, North Lonnie just kept holding them at bay. You sense if they had hit the front, who knows for Lauderdale, but they just couldn't get there.
And and the other thing, I suppose, I don't know about you boys, but even though I got to 9 points, I still felt kicking that 3 goals or 2 goals, whatever, I still felt that was such an uphill climb.
Yeah, and I think the word we used was professional. They just played it out, closed the game out, ruthless, got it done.
Spare a thought there for Braden Van Buren, being such a central figure in this year and why they've been so good.
And I'm glad he got up on the stage too.
Misses out on the flag. Well, look at those two, Batman and Robin. They just terrorise teams for fun. Pose for a few snaps. They'll be doing that all night. And they'll have quite the bus ride home.
Congratulations to
absolutely will. And if
North
Josh Ponning's up to his usual tricks, then
Clarence.
he's saying if Josh Ponning's up to his usual tricks, then it might be another best on in a couple of days for him as well.
Yeah, collected the medal there. He might collect the celebration medal, is what you're sensing.
I think he might have got it last year.
Hope they've got a very sympathetic bus driver because they're very.
I think
a lot of them are very strict in this day and age. So I think a little bit of cash might have to change hands.
Yeah, they might have to recruit from within for the bus driver. I think outsourcing might not work for them, or they'll be certainly sacrificing a deposit, that's for sure.
Well, what a day of footy, gents. Been fantastic. 3 ripping grand finals, 2 underdog victories in the first 2, nail biters, and then Lauderdale really did push North Launceston here, but, well, the consummate professionals that they are found a way through it to hoist their 5th Premiership Cup. What a club, what a team. We hope you've enjoyed the coverage today and all year. Thank you, Chris Rowbottom, for the season, and Trent Blumler for today. And yeah, it's been an absolute thrill bringing the TSL Live to you right across the year. Bye for now.